good morning, and welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football's Rise and Shine Morning Show. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame College Football. Welcome into the show, everybody. Dakota Green, hey, man, new member to the show. Thank you for becoming a member. Sooner Fan 71, welcome in. Good morning to everyone. Thank you. And Kimberly K, good morning. Good morning. Glad to see you back in here this morning. Coach Rick, same with you. Good morning. Glad everybody's in here. Make sure you wipe your feet. Yeah, I think it says new member, but yeah. So you've been a member for a while. I know that. Thank you very much, though. Thank you for renewing your membership. That must have been what happened. Glad to see you in here. Good to see everybody in here. Make sure everybody wipe your feet as you come in. I'm going to talk a little bit about some different stuff. Actually going to have Cody Light is going to jump in here and talk to us a little bit about the Big 12 in hour number 2. So we will kind of get into talking a little bit about that. But okay, cool deal. Hey, man, well, it's good. Hey, either way, glad to see you here. Glad to see you back into the membership. Anybody who would like to become a member, it's as low as $2.99 a month for our membership. All you got to do is right next to, if you go out to where you hit that like button, there's a little button there that says join, or you can always go to youtube.com/@cfb-pod/join. That will also get you in there as well. Low is $2.99 a month. That will help you become a member. Hey, love to have new memberships in here. It helps the show, but it also gives you access to our Discord and to members only content as well. Got a lot of writing coming up soon. We're actually going to be jumping on to doing some new stuff. We've got pretty sure we're going to be at SEC Media Days. Myself, the coach, possibly Coach I, and looking to get Coach I to come with us as well, and then Jay from Unfair Sports. So looking forward to SEC Media Days in July. That'll be a lot of fun. Going to be a lot of stuff going on into it. So excited. Let's go OU Diamond Sports. Sooner Cowboys, welcome into the show, sir. Yeah, man, excited about the Diamond Sports. I was a little disappointed in, look, anytime you lose to Okie Light in anything, it kind of sucks, especially right now with the way that they never shut up. But, and I'm guessing we're probably going to have to hear a little bit of that from Cody Light when he pops in here at, it'll be 11:15 Eastern Time, 10:15 Central when he pops in. So, but that's a little over an hour from now. We're going to talk a little bit about the Big 12 in that one. We've got the odds up there as to, Oklahoma State is not the favorite. In fact, they're not the second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth favorite to win the Big 12, according to CBS, which is coming out of Vegas. So, not surprising there. I'm excited about Women's College World Series. Even though the Sooner women didn't win and it's been for the first time in a long time that they didn't win the conference. They won the conference tournament championship and then kind of rolled through regionals and supers, swept Florida State in the supers. That was, of course, their opponent in the World Series championship when they won their third straight last year. Excited to see, they're going for number 4, and I don't know. I have a hard time believing anybody's going to beat them. They just seem to have that, Sooner magic whenever they get going in it. But I think this is probably the year that it's been the most of a toss-up, I would say. Texas is definitely good. Okie Light's definitely good. That actually beat Oklahoma for the first time in a series in a long time. but you know how I feel about that. That's not going to go down. I feel like this is a good opportunity for the women to get number 4. And, you know, look, they're a lot younger this year. I think that, you know, as far as pitching dominance is concerned, when you lose Jordy Ball, tough, you know. Yes. I would agree. With this, Dakota. But when you lose, you know, Jordy Ball to the transfer portal, she went back to Nebraska after winning it last year. They did bring in, you know, they've brought in talent. I mean, the bottom line is, but it's a lot younger this year here for Oklahoma and Patty Gasso. I think that still, when you get into this situation, nobody's cooler than these girls. You've got a lot of seniors that are in there and that are going to step up. I think that, you know, you've seen some big deals. I agree that I think that they're going to get in there, get that done. Yeah, take the over. Yeah, dude, you definitely. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me, but I got to tell you, over the weekend, I kind of let Twitter simmer on its own. Sometimes you just got to take a break from that stuff, and I did not want to hear it. Spent more time kind of reflecting on some of my brothers from the military that gave their ultimate sacrifice for Memorial Day. Spent some time talking to family, being, you know, and doing some stuff like that, and just kind of relaxing. So no, I didn't. Does it surprise me? No. It seems every year people bitch and complain. If you wanted to host the super regional, then you should have won more games, is the way I would look at it with Florida State. They're pretty young though. I know that, and they were without a couple of their better pitchers, so I don't know that anybody really expected them to beat Oklahoma. Certainly got a good program, but I don't know what all they had to say. No other teams want to draw Oklahoma and South. Nobody does. And I would tell you that, I mean, would you? Would you? I wouldn't. You know, we're talking about a 3 straight national championships. It's pretty much unheard of. I would think that they're going to probably go ahead and win this one as well. We'll have to see. I guess it's certainly more up in the air than ever. But there's just something about this group of girls, especially that senior class, that you know, you've got some really good players. You've got some really good young players too, but you've got some of those girls. That leadership is going to come through. I think when it's necessary. And you're an Air Force veteran as well. Thank you for your service there, Sooner Fan 71. Yes, me too. And God bless all of our fallen heroes. Yeah, I was I'm an Air Force vet myself. So yeah, absolutely. So welcome in, my Air Force brother. Happy about that. Yeah. Thank you. Truthfully, I'm worried about Texas and Oklahoma State. Yeah, I can see that. When it comes down to it, though, on that stuff, are you really worried? Because kind of is what it is. But the good old chair force. So you're gonna bust chops there. Thank you, Kimberly. You're gonna bust some chops there, Dakota. I wasn't in the chair force, but it's okay. You can talk smack. It is what it is. I actually love that about our armed forces, that we can kind of go back and forth with each other. Yeah. Yeah, their pitcher she's the girl that they got up against. She was that freshman from last year, right? She's really good. Yeah. That's a little scary. No. Got to a little bit. All right, I was Army. Yeah. Listen, I get it. You know, for those that can't get into the Air Force, they choose the Army. I understand. Right back at you, buddy. Not just messing with you guys. Yeah. Got to spend a lot of, the unit that I was in, we spent a lot of time with kind of all the branches, and the rivalries are funny. They are a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun, but kind of is what it is. Yeah, look, as far as the Women's College World Series, I'm excited for it, though. I think that, again, it wouldn't really be any fun if you just walked in and pushed them over and it's all over with. You know what I mean? So thank you for your service, Coach. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. I almost went to the Army to try to fly helicopters. To be a warrant officer, I wanted to do that, but didn't end up working out that way. The recruiters just kind of lie to you anyway, and just, but anyway. I do think it's definitely, hey, what's up there, Mars James? What's up, my man? Welcome into the show. Thank you for being here. Appreciate everybody for showing up. I'm not sure where everybody else is. A pitcher from Stanford gave us hell in the 2 games we played them last year. Yeah. She's got everything in her bag for sure. I think it all, and then, there were some times last year you kind of look back to last year, and they were, what did they have? 1 loss, and it was real early in the year. Or was it the year before? I mean, yeah, they had definitely it was the year before that they had that loss, wasn't it? Sheesh. Golly, man, what a deal, right? But for them to go and set that record, of course, but then there were some times that you had a lot of just really, really good opportunities for them to get beat, and then they would come back and do something. It was a magical year for them, for sure, for them to knock off and get that number 3. So it's pretty good stuff, man. Yeah, recruiters lie. They definitely do that. Yeah, no doubt. Yes, they do have to. I mean, they wouldn't get a whole lot of people in if they told the truth. They told you what you were about to get into. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. But I got to go back after basic and tech school. I went back and did recruiter's assistant. So I got to give him all kinds of hell about it once I got there. So it was fun. But yeah. Again, I think that this year they've gone through some things, and you can tell that Patty's been a little more critical of them at times, which I think sometimes you need. I guess I think that there was that little small period in there. I mean, they still only lost like 4 to, well, how many games have they lost all year? Like 6 or something like that total? 4 or 6. I mean, it's insane. And the numbers that they, like in the last 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is, that they have like 14 losses total in like 4 years. There's teams that don't get through a season that get to the World Series with 14 losses or more, pretty wild. To me, I feel like this is an opportunity that you really have to expect that. Yeah, they're not going to really, yeah, it would be great. And I think for them, you really hope that that's the case, because that senior class, they don't want to be the senior class that loses that. I could just go back to that. I mean, the furthest I can go with that is high school. Is that when we were in high school, our football team won the state championship. Because we were only in high school, sophomore, junior, senior year. We were freshmen at the junior high. So, but all 3 years I was in high school, we won state. So those senior classes, it's important for you to uphold that. The year after I graduated, they didn't win it. And then I've got a good friend of mine that they had won his sophomore and junior year, and then they lost in the state championship game his senior year. And he still talks about this. We're talking 20 years ago, the better part of 20 years ago anyway. They don't forget. So it's tough. It's tough if you don't. But I don't think that anything that you could say about the. I mean, to even just to get back there, you could have easily seen. It's so easy to lose out in the supers, or because again, you go up against the top 16 teams in the country were in it. As rankings were concerned, they all 16 of them were in it. So I mean, the differences in 16 and 1, I mean, it's not that much. You know what I mean? And like I said, with Florida State, they were finalists in last year's Women's Carl's World Series. So, definitely going up against the best of the best. But they definitely seem to have kind of caught their stride a little bit. I think they're hitting very well, timely. They seem to make pretty good. The one thing you're hoping is that you just don't see. They've given up some home runs at times, and that's concerning to me. The pitching is definitely not near as dominant as what you've seen, but they're still unbelievably good in the field, and they're hitting very well. So I love their chances. I wouldn't tell you that I think that it's a for sure thing, but I don't think that anything that happens here can be that huge a disappointment for this softball team. I mean, it's pretty unprecedented what they're doing. And so to me, I feel like, yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think that nobody wants to, and of course they don't. Why would you want to? And you don't want to meet them until it's championship time, and I would guess that you were hoping that they get knocked out before that, but you certainly wouldn't want to meet them until you get down to the very end of it. So, to me, I think that's it. I'd be surprised if they didn't end up in the championship round. I'd be surprised at that. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what it was, right? Could be Bedlam for the title. Yeah, well, the Oklahoma definitely owes them one after after getting beat at their own ballpark in that series, losing 2 out of 3. So, it is what it is. But the thing is Okie Light still finished behind them in the standings, and then I don't know how much I believe in Texas either. I mean, they should have honestly. A&M let them off the hook, didn't they? Good grief! They had them. They had them in the first 2 games. They had them. So for them to not, yeah. I don't know. I think that they definitely, and their coach, I mean, that guy's such a douchebag too, isn't he? The coach yelling at that girl and they're pointing at the base. That's the only, I mean, you guys let me know what you think. I've never seen, the only thing that tells me that you're sending them home is, you're doing that, and he was pointing at the base and then he screams at that girl about not doing it. Yeah, Texas A&M choked, no doubt. Red River for the title. What's up, Hankster? Good to see you, man. Yeah, they choked. They did. Does it surprise you? Get in the game against freaking Texas and which is what you would expect Texas and Okie Light to do if they get up against OU too. So that's my expectations. They shouldn't have done it, but I mean, it's just kind of what little brothers do. They just gag it up when they, look at Okie Light and conference championship games in football. Guaranteed loss. Just a guaranteed loss. Just a guaranteed loss. I'm going to have fun with that one all the time. So let's get into kind of what we kind of plan on talking about. As much as we've been talking over the last few weeks about Oklahoma and heading into this first season in the SEC, all the disrespect, and I mean utter disrespect from all around the SEC. And I'm not sure I remember exactly who brought it up to me last week, but we were talking a little bit about, I don't remember what video it was, but somebody brought up the fact that you could kind of see what it feels like the SEC is trying to do, right? Yeah, I'm with you there, Hank. Yeah, the choke factor is real. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 6 inches, 1 inch, whatever it was. It was short enough. What they fail to remember about that one though, Brisket, is that they don't ever talk about this part. They also threw like 4 interceptions in that game. So they should have blown Baylor out. That was a total gag job. 6 inches or not, or an inch. I don't care what it was. Gag job. Period. Anyway, getting back to OU, talking SEC. Now, obviously, to me, I think that when you start looking at it and you take into consideration the schedule, which, yeah, the schedule is definitely a damn sight tougher than Texas. And then people are taking into consideration, they continue to say that Texas is so much better off and in a better position to win right away in the league. I think that's silly talk, crazy talk. I mean, I've told you guys that in the past. There's so many things, and they're overlooking all those things. With Oklahoma, they're clinging on to little things reasons to believe that OU isn't going to get it done. We had Blake Ruffino on here from Ruffino and Joe last week, and he said kind of some of that same stuff, that he was talking about Jackson Arnold. And but something that I noticed yesterday, and I don't know if you guys saw this yet, I think probably quite a few people did, the Cole Thompson video there on SEC Unfiltered. He's kind of coming around to Oklahoma, said he would die on that hill of OU being a contender right away, and outlined a lot of reasons why. Kind of the same stuff I've been saying on this show. A lot of us have been saying as far as Oklahoma creators are concerned. We've all been kind of saying it. People just assuming Texas reloads. Yes, but that's the thing. And finally somebody brought that up. For Cole to say that, let me know that they do actually pay attention to what's going on, right? There's a lot of stuff going, and we've said this a lot too, but yes, they have if you're looking at the schedule overall, it's a JV schedule compared to Oklahoma's in this league. Just judging by record alone. I mean, look, we talked about the same thing with Mizzou. 14-34 record, combined record for the 6 teams that they beat in the conference a year ago, right? 14-34. A lot of those same teams are on Texas's schedule. Okay. Now, I think the Texas A&M is probably going to be a little bit better. Quite a bit better. To me, the fact that you're not hearing a ton out of Aggie land down there has got to be kind of a that's kind of what's happening, Zofix. That's kind of what's happening. But when you kind of look at it, yes, Texas is playing Arkansas. Texas is playing A&M, but they got Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Florida, all these teams that really, Kentucky, you got to, maybe they're going to be good. They don't get, I think the only bottom feeder from a year ago that they're not playing against is South Carolina. Right? So it kind of makes you wonder there. But I would say that there's a couple of those games, though, that, I mean, a lot of us in here have talked about that, 8-4. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, and that's my prediction for them is 8-4. wouldn't really surprise me if they went 7-5. It really wouldn't. And I'm going to tell you why. It's defense. I think that Sark is, even if Quinn doesn't make it through the whole year, which he hasn't yet, and Arch has to come in, or they bring in the freshman that they love, whatever. I think that Sark has enough going on that he understands how to put points on the board. They'll be able to do that. But what he's also shown us is that he doesn't really go for the throw. He doesn't stick to what's working all the time. He seems to be, I don't know that, my feeling is that he doesn't always trust Quinn, right? Or maybe it's his own play calling or whatever. Yes, everybody's talking about how they reloaded. You got the 2 kids out of the portal from Houston and Oregon State. Then, of course, you got Isaiah Poe out of Alabama, Amari Niblack out of Alabama, which, if you were watching the show last week when we were talking with Ty, we had that whole group of guys on Thursday night on No Cap. Niblack apparently freelances, didn't really know the routes he was supposed to run. He was struggling with the playbook. That isn't going to work. Okay, Chris keeps saying that he likes him better than Jatavion Sanders. I don't know what he's seeing, because Jatavion was hurt a lot last year, but that guy's been a stud. A stud. The truth of the matter and the fact of the matter is this: they have their top 5 pass catchers from a year ago are gone. Sanders, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Brooks, and Whittington as well. Brooks obviously was, stud running back as well. Baxter and Blue picked up for him whenever he went out towards the end of the year, but they didn't do the same thing that he was going to do, and they certainly weren't that explosive back that they really needed out of him. Bottom line is I just don't believe it. There's a lot of things that have to go very, very, very well, and that's something that you heard out of Cole Thompson, that a lot of things have to go very well for them to do what they did again last year. You lose Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, first and second round picks. 11 guys total. And bringing in a bunch of guys that are new, I don't know. I just don't see it, man. And Colin Simmons, I think, is going to be unbelievably good. Is he going to be able to do that year one? I don't think so. I mean, it's different. It's a different animal, particularly in the SEC. And that love that they got for beating Alabama, they still couldn't beat Oklahoma. And it's a one-off situation. It's what you hear all the time. It's not the game against, it's not beating anybody. It's going through and being able to do it week after week, going on the road and doing it. Now, again, they don't really have an excuse for not being able to get it done. But I would tell you that they're on the road at Arkansas, with Bobby Petrino. And the Taylor Green kid, he's got all the tools. He can throw it, he can run it. He's a big, strong kid. They're gonna actually have a serviceable offense. They've got good pass catchers. Look, I'm not expecting Arkansas to contend for the SEC championship, but I expect them to jump up and bite somebody at some point. I could see them beating Mizzou. I could see them beating Texas. Do I see them beating Texas A&M? I don't know. Texas and Texas A&M. Now, Texas has to go to College Station to play that game. That's the last one of the year. The one thing I would tell you about A&M is they look like they're better on the offensive line. They added the right pieces that they needed to add. What was 27 total adds in the portal? And they're gonna start on defense. The guys that they were able to keep along that D line, they're definitely way ahead of Texas on the D line. Way ahead. I think that, plus you lost Bo Davis. I don't see how it is that works out as well as everybody seems to act like it's going to, like they just reloaded. I know a lot of you guys are saying that too. Let's see. Yeah. It's, if Texas reloads, then why the hell did they have to portal in all the skill players? Right. And I mean, listen, the one guy they got, Jonte Cook, is coming back. He's the one returning receiver that caught a ball from Quinn last year. That's it. He had 13 catches on the season. What was it, like under 200 yards or something like that? It was not much. Oklahoma has, well, aside from Burks, I mean, they've got a lot of production coming back. A lot. It's like 2,500 yards of production besides Burks. If you add Burks' production in, then it's like over 3,000. Even if you add in the guys that they have brought in through the portal at Texas, they're not close to production-wise to what Oklahoma has coming back. That wide receiver room at OU is underrated and overlooked. They didn't have them in the top 10 at all. It's unbelievable to me that they didn't. Thankfully, or wait, they did have them in the top 10 in the receivers. I was thinking defensively, which is enough. But they did have them in the top 10 in the receivers. They had them in the top 2, I believe, in running backs, which that's the thing. You start seeing these things, but then you hear people saying that their concern about Oklahoma is offensively. That's something that Cole Thompson was saying on SEC Unfiltered yesterday that made me laugh. He was like, what do you mean? You know, all of a sudden, since when do we actually put a lot of stock in what happens in a bowl game when you have first-time starter with a new offensive coordinator because your OC just left to take the head coaching job at Mississippi State? Since when do we start really, judging people based on that? And if you want to make that judgment, you can, but that's just something that you can grasp on. What I was talking about was that you saw last week during, and it was one of these videos. It may have been the Blake Ruffino one. It could have been the one from before that about John Kurtz with all the crap that he had to say about not believing that Brent Venables is an elite coach, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. He's talking about, and how you would call Sark an elite coach when he's won 10 games once in 10 years. And would they have beaten Oklahoma if OU gets into the conference championship game? I have my doubts. Could they have? Sure. I have my doubts. Right? In any event, yeah, OU lost on their own. I mean, we can say whatever we want. We know what happened in the Bedlam game. We don't have to keep talking about that. And people talk about Kansas all they want to. Kansas is probably, to me, I believe that they're certainly, they're the number 3 odds-on team to get to the to win the conference championship 1 year after that. If Jalen Daniels stays healthy, how's anybody going to beat them? Because he's certainly the most electric player in the Big 12 now, without a doubt. You got to be in the game, but I believe that. Okay, I absolutely believe that. Okay, and they're only picking a favorite over OU just because of the home field advantage, even though it's looking like the LSU defense is not going to get better. I don't know that I don't know how you couldn't get better. They're going to be better. How much better is it's a good question. They have a first-year defensive coordinator, and I guess it's their linebacker coach or whatever it is. They've definitely brought in 2 or 3 plus Bo Davis, but Bo Davis, he's going to have to hope that Dominic McKinley comes in and is ready to rock and roll right away. And I think he could be, but the depth there on that, and this is where it is, and they talk about it all. Every one of these SEC creators that is worth anything, whether they're haters on Oklahoma or not. What do they talk about? Competitive depth. Take a drink. Competitive depth. That's the question. When you don't have it in the places that you have to have it, that's the worry that you have. A lot of people want to talk, and the other thing that they try to, the question is the offensive line. Okay, what question do you got? Because with Bill Bedenbaugh, they did very well in the portal. They got the best center available in the portal. I think that guard wise, they're in great shape, and I think Michael Tarquin looked very good playing left tackle. I think that you can either use Jacob Sexton at right tackle, or you can move him into guard if you need to. But I also feel like, they've talked a lot about Heath Ozida. He looked really good. I still think that what's his name? Joshua Bates, even though he's probably not going to be playing center, why wouldn't you he started to look very, very good at the end of spring. Everybody's talking about that. The linemen themselves. The depth is definitely there. There's competitive depth there. They're new starters. So it's fair to question it. But I don't have a big question when you start talking about Bill Bedenbaugh. All you got to do is look at offensive linemen throughout the NFL, then tell me how much you worry. People talk about the guys that he doesn't get in recruiting. Well, chances are, it sounded to me like he got a very good chance at getting a 2026 5-star that's already 340 freaking pounds, 6'7". He's still in for Haywood. He's still in on Fasusi. Everybody that thinks that Fasusi's a lock for Texas or Texas A&M, I think they're out of their damn mind. When he went on with PG brought that up with him as like, do you guys think about the fact of what Bill Bedenbaugh is and all the guys that he's put in the NFL? The money and contracts? And he was like, absolutely, you have to think about that. If you're not thinking about that, then are you nuts? I don't know, man. I have a hard time believing that. Absolutely. Lucas James, absolutely. Hit that one right on the number. Clem Curry, welcome into the show. Sir Steele, welcome in. Line will be fine. Probably not dominant, but good enough. And you don't need to be dominant. The thing is that all these other look, I want to know which offense, if this defense is what we think it is, defensively on the line, secondary, the as good a secondary as you got. Not only do you have Billy Bowman back there, who's, it's easy to talk about him being, and he should have been a finalist for the Thorpe last year. Probably should have won it. But he's a Thorpe watch list guy, but you're going to tell me Peyton Bowen isn't? Because the dude didn't do anything but show us that if he's in, he's making plays. So you have maybe the best two player tandem at safety in the country. I don't care what they ranked them, but I think those rankings were so far off the grid with on 3 that they're out of their damn mind. I'll take our safeties all day long. Would you love to have Caleb Downs? Duh. Would you love to have the kid at Georgia? What's his name? Somebody put it in there. I usually remember it, but yeah, of course. Peyton Bowen was only number 2 to Caleb Downs. And now and with Billy, he led the country, or was, second in the country in interceptions, led the country in pick sixes, always around the ball. Great. Awesome. The cornerback position, not worried about that. Gentry looks like if he gets better from year 2 to year 3 like he did from year 1 to year 2 and he stays healthy, what are you going to do with that guy? Same goes with Makari Vickers. And, I think that I could tell in the spring game, man, Jacoby Johnson is that dude. You talk about athleticism. It's all Kanai Walker looks really good. Look, Woody is probably changing positions because he doesn't. What choice does he have? Right? There's just a lot of guys that you start talking about little Eli Bowen. Fast. The dude has a nose for the football, makes a lot of interceptions. I think it's just crazy. Crazy. So to me, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I am looking forward to it. Because I think that, and then you start talking about the linebacker room and then the cheetah position. You start looking at the guys that you got coming back, the defensive line. Look at this with PJ and Ethan Downs on the ends. You've got, Dasan McCullough, who he was dinged up quite a bit towards the end of the year, but when that dude was in, he made plays, right? Trace Ford looked a lot better. It looks like he's finally going to have a healthy season, knock on wood. You've got all these guys. Then you've got some, look, I don't know about you guys. This Caden Wooler dude, whoa. Going to be a baller. With PJ, I think he takes a step forward. I hope he does. When the light turns on for him, he's going to be unstoppable. Danny Okoye, who's to say when he gets it? That dude is strong and explosive and freaking plays with a lot of violence. They are loaded on the defensive line. They're deep on the defensive line. Nigel Smith can play inside or outside. We already talked. As much as is a great pickup to go and get Dominic Williams. Awesome pickup, right? DJ Terry, another big-time player there. Jaden Jackson and Stoney. Those guys are bound and determined to make their mark as freshmen. Is it great that they don't have to be the leaders? Yes. They're deep, though. 6 and 7 guys deep that can be in this rotation. I feel like G-Baby probably comes. The things that you've seen out of him, the hope is that, consistency is what you get out of him. But now he's put on the weight that you needed him to put on. His motor is damn sure there. I'm excited about him. And again, you start talking about, Devon Sears looked really good all throughout the spring. Big guy. What's the kid's name? Oh, Champ Sanders, second-year guy. The dude's a monster too. They're going to be in good shape there. I'm not too concerned about that. This defense is probably going to turn in a top 10 performance. They're going to be a top 10 defense in the league. If they do that, you don't need Jackson Arnold to go win the Heisman this year as a freshman or sophomore, true sophomore. You don't need him to. Now, do they have enough talent for him to be able to go and do that? Sure. I was looking at, I don't know how many of you guys watch the Rock Boys. And I only watch them every once in a while, but they did a ranking of the top 10 players on the Oklahoma team. And the guy was talking about how hard it was for him to pick 10. But let's see what you guys think about this. He had at number 10, he had DeJoun Terry. Number 9 was Caden Woolard. 8, Jackson. 7, Nick Anderson. 6, Dominic Williams. Seems a little bit high. 5, Gavin Sawchuk. 4, Ethan Downs. 3, Billy Bowman. 2, Deion Burks. And number 1, Danny Stutzman. It's a pretty good top 10. It's a pretty good top 10. And I think preseason, that's a good top 10. Do you think there's some changes to that, though, at the end of the year? Does it end up that way that all these same guys are on their top 10 at the end of the year? Or do you think some of these other guys kind of step in? Let me go back to what you guys are talking about. I feel like the SEC talking heads are missing the fact that OU has competitive depth at the most critical positions, secondary, both DB and safety, corner and safety, yeah, defensive line, linebacker, wide receiver, quarterback, and running back. Yep, they do. The running back, my concern about the running back is my concern with, and listen, I know a lot of people, and I'm not, first off, shout out to Tawi Walker. Loved that he put out that video last week talking about what happened. I was kind of surprised, but he did say that he loves, that he's a big fan and just loves DeMarco. So he wasn't really bashing DeMarco, except for he did say, and I think a lot of us have said it too, is that rotation there was something off about the running back rotation last year. He certainly believed so. I think most of us would have to agree with that as well. To me, Javonte Barnes was in the game way too much for him supposedly being hurt the way that he was all year. Why was he in at those times? That Oklahoma State game, you may not have had to worry about the officials if you go down there and score right after Sawchuk gets that long run. Then you do a direct snap to a guy who hadn't been in the football game in over a month and supposedly was still hurt. Why isn't Tawi in there at that time? Why isn't, hell, I don't care who, just not Javonte. Why not go back to Sawchuk? Something was up there. My concern there is that I want the best guy in and not waiting until the end of the year. And it seems like there was just a lot of uneven stuff. And I'm not hating on, listen, I love DeMarco Murray as much as the next guy. Believe that. But it's a little worrisome. I'll tell you another thing. Caleb Hicks is definitely, I think right now, if you're looking at it, you got to be looking at Sawchuk 1, Hicks 2 to me. But I would not be surprised when Taylor Tatum gets there, he's a different dude. A different dude. He's big. He's fast. I think they can use him in a lot of ways. And I would tell you that guy is not going to be on the bench, and he ain't redshirting. I don't care how deep it is in that running back room. And you got to use him because I think he probably immediately comes in and is one of the best players on the team, period. He's just that kind of athlete. He's just that kind of athlete, man. That's my feeling on that. So I hope that we see, I hope we see DeMarco take a step forward with that as well. But I agree. I think that right now the offensive line is the only position that you should worry about. But I don't worry about it much. I just think it's a matter of, it's a new line. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad line. It's a new line. I don't put near as much stock in stars when it comes to offensive linemen. I think it's all well and good. I want them to see them get Fasusi, Haywood, whatever. I think that, Ryan Foji continues to climb the ladder in these rankings. When they first signed the guy or first got the commitment from him, he was in the 400s. He's now in 247s. I think he's number 89 in the country for 247. The composite has him at 120 or something like that. He's running up the list. He goes out and has a really good senior season. He's liable to be at worst top 50. And I think he could end up being a 5-star. But as you look at it right now with Haywood, and I think that you get at least one of those guys, Fasusi or Haywood. And then who's that guy that's looks like he a Kansas guy or something like that, another dude? They're going to get one of those dudes, right? They're going to get one of those dudes. They missed out on the kid that went to Tennessee that's living in Oklahoma. He's not an Oklahoma kid, So people that were worried about that, look, if they weren't offering him the kind of money that Tennessee was, it's because they're saving that money for one of those other cats or a couple of those other dudes. I see that. That's fine. That tells you where the priority was. Because if they're not really making a kid that's in the state a huge priority, and look, Okie Light didn't get him either. Neither did Mizzou. To me, it tells you, though, that they're definitely in on these other guys. And after, like I said, I saw what Fasusi said on PG's show. I trust and believe that that's who you're going to end up getting. One of those guys. Haywood is still pretty much, a lot of people have him crystal balled here. I know that Alabama's in on him as well. That's understandable. Look, could you not get either of them? Possibly. Am I worried about it? No. No. If they don't get one of those guys, does it worry you? No, it doesn't. I think he identifies the guys he needs. I think he does. And again, I don't put a ton of stock in these stars. I just don't. Not when it comes to that. I know it's proven through data that the hardest position to correctly identify and scout has been the offensive line. Period. Point blank. The 5-star guys are the least amount of guys that end up in the league at all. And if you're a 5-star guy, you got to be a monster. So for that to be the case tells you that, it's a tough one to do. Look, if you look at Bill Bedenbaugh's track record, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They really are. Yeah, I'm letting them sleep on us. I agree with you, Trucking. I'm with you. What I would tell you is that less of them are. As you saw, and listen, I don't know if you guys watched this episode or not, but a week or so ago, I heard the guys from that SEC podcast, SEC Mike at that, not Cousin Shane, saying that he sees Oklahoma as a playoff team if their line is half decent. A playoff team. 9-3 at worst. 9-3, depending on how the rest of the league shakes out, but 9-3 would absolutely, if 9-3 is going to get anybody into the playoff, it would be Oklahoma because of their schedule. Oklahoma are like Florida. Florida somehow pulled a rabbit out of the hat. I don't really see that happening. I think that Florida is better than people giving them credit for. I do. I think that they could. That's another team that very well could upset Texas, even though it's in Austin. I just see potholes for Texas for sure. But when you see that SEC Mike is saying that kind of stuff all of a sudden, and he hasn't been like that at all. He's been hating on Oklahoma the whole way. If anybody was given any kind of love, it was Cousin Shane. And to the point that when he said that, you saw that Cousin Shane kind of gave him a look. Like, what? Where's that coming from? Surprised me. Definitely surprised me. Thompson, when I'd seen another one that they were kind of ranking coaches or like putting their coaching staff together off of, SEC coaches or what they would build their coaching staff with. I believe, I don't know if he's the guy that got Bedenbaugh. I think it was another guy, but he was upset that he didn't. So we know that they respect Bill Bedenbaugh. He talked about him in that show last night. Look, for all the haters out there are some guys out there that are starting to pay attention. Like somebody said up there, now that you're getting into the summer, you can start looking a little closer, right? And you can. Look, I don't know if Deion Burks is the number 2 player on this team or not. I think he's explosive wise. Yeah, definitely you could get something there out of him, right? I think he's a huge pickup. And I know he's a huge pickup because everybody was after him, including Texas, including LSU, including Washington, or I mean, not Washington, Alabama, Kalen DeBoer and those guys, they all were looking for him. Look, he was that explosive on a bad football team. And when you're adding guys that these other SEC programs wanted, Missouri, contender Missouri, quote unquote, contender Missouri, contender LSU, quote unquote, contender Texas, or some people got them picked to go 12 and freaking 0. Get them out of here.
The brand has finally returned. F*** your brand.
It ain't happening, boys. Yeah. I agree. Clem, I like it. Yeah, I the more I've looked at the schedule, and we talked a lot about it before, I think that first SEC game is a bitch. They probably have the best defensive player in the country at Tennessee. Their defensive line depth is very, very good. I don't know, offensive line wise, I know that they're replacing some guys as well. Their receivers, I mean, look, we're going to have to wait and see how Nico performs because, Coach I was talking about it before. They didn't really have the same kind of receivers last year for him. And plus they had, the quarterback they had wasn't the guy. I don't care how far he can throw it. He couldn't hit. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Shotty always talks about, you knock your drink out of your hand sitting in the stands. So, but I like what Josh has done there. I think it could be. It's a good thing that they're playing them at home, I think. And I don't know that it matters which. I mean, you want to win your home games because you only have a few of them. But I would tell you that even if you lose that game, that to me, that's probably a game that I'm starting to look at and think that may be a tougher win than some of the other ones that we've been talking about. I don't believe in Missouri. And the more you're starting to look at LSU, we're going to have to wait and see. I think somebody was in here talking about what do you believe about them is we're going to have to kind of wait and see, right? With LSU, they don't have any depth. They watch their creators. They talk about it often. They're concerned about their defensive line, very concerned. They lost a lot on offense. Do I concern myself with them on? No. I think their offense will be very good. I think that Nussmeier is fine. I know that they have a freaking receiver factory. Look, Caden Durham's a stud too. I don't really see, and they have one of the better offensive lines in the country. That's point blank, period. They absolutely do. So I'm not counting out LSU. I know a lot of people are. If things don't go well, though, could you see them kind of being, by the time Oklahoma gets to them, could you kind of see them quitting on BK? I think BK's full of shit. Not for nothing, I do. A lot of people that have been talking lately about that he wasn't saying the wrong thing and stuff. I don't agree with that. Because we know damn good and well that LSU buys football players. We know that. They've done it this freaking cycle. To me, the guys in the locker room know he buys football players. It may have lost him the number one receiver in the country by saying what he did because he wants to save face about Dominic Williams. I think the dude's full of shit. I think he's been full of shit. I think that it recruits itself at LSU for the most part. They've got guys that are ranked 3 stars from the state of Louisiana that are fine. They may be ranked at 3-star, but that don't mean they're 3 stars. In the end, I would tell you that are they going to be that much better on defense that they're going to be able to hold up if that offense isn't exactly on par with last year? which how could it be? 2 first-round receivers and the quarterback won the Heisman and went number 2. It's a lot to expect. Now, if they're similar and their defense is vastly improved, then that's one thing. I don't see that it's going to be vastly improved. That doesn't mean they're not going to be a tough out. I don't think that, and again, I don't know how much I believe in Ole Miss. I know that they did well in the portal. I know that they've got a third-year quarterback coming back that hasn't won a game that matters yet. Doesn't seem to play well in crunch time. I like their receivers. I like their running backs. I like what they did on defense. But listen, I mean, talk to those Alabama guys about 3rd and Golding. They've got something. They got to prove it. They still got to prove it too. Now you got to go to the Grove and get a win to do that. I mean, I'm not saying that's easy. I think it's one of the tougher places in the country to play. No doubt. Same thing with Auburn. But I don't believe in Auburn. I know a lot of people are starting to think, but Peyton Thorne, I don't care how good that receiver is that they brought in. He's going to be the best in Auburn history, according to everybody around there. Okay, good. You don't have a quarterback to throw to the guy. He going to throw and catch the ball? Alabama at home, look, I'm not going to be the guy that doubts Alabama. Not me. Not me. Not me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. And that's, surface level stuff, right? So a bunch of surface level stuff. And which is what at some point you kind of have to expect that. But it's funny though that these narratives, it just goes to show you how little some of these guys pay attention. It really does. That's why the guys that are good, the guys that know their shit, because they're the guys that are actually doing that. All right, guys, it looks like we got him in a little early. Yeah, Christian. Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. All right, Locked On Oklahoma State, OG24. Oh, yeah, he's already sending this stuff in already. T-Boomer, what's up, Sooner fan? Guys, before I bring in our guest, wanted to take a moment to shout out our partners at Hall of Fame College Football, Mint Mobile. Look, guys, stop overpaying for your wireless service and sticking with big wireless. Mint Mobile has been partially bought by T-Mobile. They're on the nation's largest 5G network. You can get the first 3 months of unlimited talk, text, and data for $45. Unlimited talk, text, and data. It also, they've got a new promotion out right now. If you go through trymintmobile.com/HOF, you can also get 6 months of Paramount Plus Essential Plan included in the package with your unlimited talk, text, and data. Guys, even after that first 3 months, you can get your service unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a month instead of $15. The first 3 months is at $15 a month. It's worth giving it a shot. If you are a little concerned about whether or not the service is going to be good enough, do what I did and give it a shot. While you keep your other phone service, you can keep it on the same line using their digital eSIM card. It's worth doing it. Guys, they're adding in that 6 months of Paramount Plus for you folks that are Yellowstone fans or whatever. Make sure you jump in there. Check it out. trymintmobile.com/HOF. They're great sponsors of the program. Go in there and check it out. I mean, it's worth it for $45 to find out whether or not you could be saving that kind of money month after month after month, right? A lot of great plans. If you need a phone, as well. Jump in there and do that. I'm working on a new commercial for it just to throw everything out there, but you can find it all out on your own. TryMintMobile.com/HOF. Get in there and check it out. You will thank me later, but get in there and do that. All right, welcoming into the show from Locked On Oklahoma State. You guys give him a hard time as much as you'd like to, because I'm sure he's going to be giving you a hard time. Our boy Cody Light. It's been a while since we've had him on there. Our boy Cody Light, Cody Stovall from Locked On Oklahoma State. Welcome to the show, sir. It's been a while.
Howdy, buddy. Hey, first off, I gotta say, if you're not using Mint Mobile, you might suck. All right. Other than that, hey, it's good to be here. Yeah, it's been a while, but obviously making the transition to the SEC, you knew you were going to be tied up and busy with all that. So yeah, I get you. I got you. I'll tell you what though, on the OU note, I'm kind of curious on your thoughts on the record, because when I look at your schedule, like, it's not easy. When I look at your schedule compared to Texas's schedule, it looks vastly different. So I'm going to go ahead and say I think y'all end up right around 8-4, but finding 9 wins is a difficult task, in my opinion, on your schedule.
You could say that. But I would also tell you this, if you look at some of these games, because, you're definitely going to get – you don't have a week off. You don't have a week off. Now, what I would tell you is that –
and ironically enough, y'all getting Houston and Tulane back-to-back with the Willie Fritz stuff is kind of funny.
It is kind of weird, right? Yeah, because
Yeah,
I don't know if he just switched the team to there or whatever happened, but I think Willie's one of the better coaches in the country, so – I like it.
Yeah, you give Houston 2 or 3 years, they're going to be something. They're going to be something.
I agree. I think it's a juggernaut waiting to happen if they get the right guy, and I think that Willie's done a good job as far as, like, I don't know what kind of recruiter he really is, but I think that if you can start putting up some wins, you might be able to keep a couple of those cats at home, because of the fact that you're in the Big 12. Finally, they're in a power conference. Now, that's kind of what we're going to get into. But just to finish off this little chat about Oklahoma, and what I would tell you is, when you look at this defense top to bottom, I find it very hard to believe that anybody's going to be putting up a ton of points on this defense. The defensive line depth from end to end is super deep. They've got 7 guys in the tackle positions that very well, including your freshman guys, but getting Dominic Williams was huge. They also went in there and got, Caden Woolard, coming out. They got some guys, man. And then plus with PJ Adebaware, Ethan Downs coming back, Ethan looked better than he's looked. And I've always kind of felt like maybe he should move in. But look, the depth is good. And that's what you have to have in this league. The linebackers, you're as good as you're going to get at linebacker. Deshaun McCullough. The safeties, I think that the tandem of Peyton Bowen and Billy Bowman could be the best safety group in the country, right? Not even mentioning the young kids. Then if Gentry Williams makes the jump, I was just saying this before, this is year 3 for Brent Venables. This is year 3 for Brent Venables in his system. Both the other times that he became defensive coordinator, when he went to Clemson and when he first got to Oklahoma, he had top 10 defenses in year 3. They're very much look like they can do that depth-wise. They've got more defensive production coming back, but the fact is they got deeper and better, and that's the big thing. What happened to them at the end of the year, a lot of it was because they had injuries nicked up, and it hurt them. It definitely hurt them. When Stutzman went out, it hurt them a lot. You got another year of –
Do you think you've kind of added to the depth necessary?
Oh, yeah. Because of the fact that, you had your freshman guys that really didn't get a ton of playing time last year. And, I think we're probably going to talk about a lot of that with Oklahoma State here in a minute too. The 3 through 5, it's a tough thing, especially for linebackers, to know where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when you had Lewis Carter, one of the best guys in the country, Coach Venables said he was the best player in the state of Florida in his mind, period. Now, that's a freaking strong statement. Samuel Omosigho, another top 100 guy from Texas, that started to come along last year towards the end of the year as well. He looks like he's going to be that guy. You know, Kobe McKenzie looks like he's going to be playing the cheetah and do. I mean, they're loaded, man. And plus with Dosan McCullough, he's probably going to be playing more outside linebacker, that kind of stuff as well. They're going to be a little more multiple than I think just playing the 3-3-5. I think we saw a lot of 4-3 in the spring game, which doesn't hurt my feelings. You know, doesn't hurt my feelings at all. I believe that they're where they need to be very good on defense. If they do that, I think that the offensive line concerns, quote unquote, are overblown by a lot because Bill Bedenbaugh just churns out NFL linemen year after year after year. Are they new? Yes. But you got a guy in Fabici Way who comes in from North Texas. He was a freshman All-American. You've got the kid from Washington. Washington had the Joe Moore line from last year, you know, at another guard position. Sexton would have been a starter most of the year last year. He was starting a lot of the games at the end of the year. And then I think Michael Tarquin, if we get Michael Tarquin when he was at Florida instead of USC with Softy over there, then we got a good position. We got a good one there. I think they've got an opportunity to really step up. Now, skill wise, get out of here. They're
deep,
deep. Look, my one thing would be this. I think that Tennessee is probably a better team than most people are thinking that they are. I'm not worried about Missouri. It's freaking Missouri, for God's sakes.
Well, Missouri's trying the best they can to pull their inner Texas A&M and buy an adequate roster. I mean, we'll see how it pans out. Obviously, it didn't work for A&M. It didn't work for Miami. So, but I mean, clearly that is their model, right? And for some reason, Mizzou feels like maybe Texas A&M and Miami did it the wrong way, and they can somehow magically do it the right way. So, yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But at the same time,
well, you know, when you think about it, if you look at their 6 wins in the SEC last year came against teams that were 13 and 39 or something like that. 13 and 39 in conference.
Well, there's always going to be a benefit to being in the East as opposed to the West, but now that's so no longer a thing. So that'll be fun to see.
But they also got a pretty light schedule as well this year. I think that I definitely think that they built this thing up for Oklahoma to have a tougher road of it. There's a lot of belief in Texas, which I agree that they definitely have a lighter schedule. They also have to have a lot of things go well for them. They lost 11 guys to the draft. They lost Sweat and Murphy off that defensive line. They didn't get the guys that Oklahoma was able to get, whether it be in recruiting or in the portal. You know, they were in on Dominic Williams as well. LSU did the same thing, but look, their secondary was god-awful last year, and they had better linebackers, and they had a really good defensive line. You're young there and unproven. A lot of things have to go well for Texas to do what they did a year ago. Not to mention the fact that, look, Arkansas, and you're going to get to find out what Arkansas is about early on. With Taylor Green and now Bobby Petrino there, that's not the same Arkansas football team that we saw a year ago. It's not. I mean, they may not. I'm not saying they're going to go and contend for the SEC, but they could reach up and bite Texas on the ass. Texas A&M, look, Mike Elko was a real deal coach. Mike Elko was winning at Duke, for God's sakes. I can see them beating Texas. I don't think that Oklahoma loses to them. I don't think they beat Georgia, even though they were at home. I don't see it happening. I just think a lot of things have to go very, very well for Texas to still be that good. How many times you lose 11 guys to the NFL draft, your 5 top pass catchers, your best running back, and you're still that good next year? They just reload that well? Come on, man. It's Sark.
Well, I think offensively, Texas will be fine. I think there is going to be some question marks for them defensively, obviously. So we will see.
Well, but are they going to be as good as they were with Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, Jonathan Brooks, and Jatavion Sanders? I don't think so. They don't have – I mean,
the natural argument's going to be that the SEC defenses are, harder than the Big 12 defenses. So I think you do have to factor that in as well. Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree, but again, I think it's going to be pretty intriguing to see because I've told you 100 times.
I could absolutely still see them going 8-4, even though they have a lighter schedule. I absolutely could. Now, I've said this a lot: 9-3, 10-2. That's where I've been seeing Oklahoma falling in there. You do get Alabama at home. You get Alabama in a good position that they lost a lot of guys. You get them at home. I'm not saying that I'm overlooking Alabama because of their talent, and Kalen DeBoer is that dude as a coach. I'm not overlooking them. I'm telling you that that's a game that you could win. The LSU game on the road, we were just talking about that before you got here. It still concerns me, even though I think that defensively they're still a year away, probably. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you got to go. I mean, going to Baton Rouge, and you know damn well it's going to be a nighttime game.
I mean, if they're smart, yeah,
it's going to be a nighttime game. So, I don't know. I don't know that it really matters how good they are at that point. I think you could catch them at the right time, and maybe they've kind of given up on BK because I think he's full of shit. But maybe not. Maybe not, man. And LSU, man, I have a hard time doubting LSU much, right? I just do. Same with Alabama. But Ole Miss, the next time that Lane wins a big game, it'll be the first time that Lane wins a big game. I'm not saying they can't lose that game, but they're not going to lose all these games that they could lose. They're not going to lose them all. I just feel that, and I feel good going into it. The one thing I do know is we've all kind of marked 2025 as Oklahoma's best chance at going deep, right? And making a real run at the SEC championship. I think that Georgia's still the best team in the country, and especially in the SEC.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
I think that you could make a run this year. I think that 2025 is probably their year. But I wouldn't be that surprised if they made a big run at it this year too. And one thing we will know is they will be battle tested, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. You're going to know what you need to do by year 2 for sure. So we'll see. Let's talk about the Big 12 though, man. I'm glad to get you on here because, brother, I don't know who the hell to pick.
Well, I think naturally picking us does make sense when you have 21 returning starters and over 90% of your roster. And that's the thing is people want to take into consideration the fact that there are some teams like Virginia Tech and Iowa State and there's another Big 12 squad that KU that returns a pretty comparable people. But I just, I've had the privilege of being able to witness a few practices this year, and you can't really compare, right, to other teams because you don't know how your spring team is going to actually match up whenever you go against people, right? So that's fair. But what I can say is we look significantly better than last season. And you just talked about year 3 in Venables, right? Well, we have a year 2 now under Brian Nardo. And just like you mentioned some 4-down stuff, we brought in Paul Randolph, who has 25 years of experience, who won the SEC Recruiter of the Year. He's won Coach of the Year. He coached at Tech. We got him from Indiana. He's implemented much more 4-down systems. We've got a transfer that's almost like an Colin Oliver clone. Kendall Daniels is up to 247 pounds as a free safety. So we've got a cheat code back there. And we just, across the board, we're not young anywhere. We have 7 returning offensive linemen, including the transfer from Isaiah Glass from Arizona State that started there for 2.5 years, right? You were just talking about offensive linemen. This is the first time since 2011 we return every offensive lineman, not to mention the fact that we have some depth there, right? We've heard Gundy mention the fact that this is probably the first time in around that time frame that we can go with a backup all across the board at O-line and not have a drop-off, which is going to take some of the workload off of Ollie Gordon, right? That's been an emphasis, which was why we got Draymond Holland out of Indiana, who was their leading rusher last season. because of the injury to Arkansas transfer who had 953 yards, AJ Green. We are going to be able to kind of implement a little bit more there. Alan Bowman looks a little bit more developed. And I honestly did not think, and I've told you this, I didn't think that somebody in year 7 could actually develop a little bit more pocket awareness, but it does appear as though that's the case. Now, when a blitz gets through, he still does his crawdaddy Bowman bull honky, but the rest of the time he looks good. Garrett Rangel looks significantly better. He spent the offseason working out with some of the best in the game, right? He got to do some lessons this offseason with Dak Prescott and Jalen Tolbert and some of the Dallas Cowboys guys. So, we look good, and we have depth. The biggest concern, I think, is going to be cornerback, because that may be one of the few positions we don't have an exorbitant amount of depth. Safety, we're loaded. Linebacker, right, we returned Nick Martin, and then now you've got Justin Wright coming back after his 220-some-odd tackles that he brings over from Tulsa. Started last year, got injured early. He's 100% healthy. Everyone says he's bigger, stronger, faster, and he feels that way as well. It's gonna be a good year, man. I've got us at 10 wins, and even if you think that 10 wins is a stretch, it's very safe to say that you can hammer the over on the 7.5 figure, right? Because even when Gundy is not good, like 2 years ago, going under 7 wins in Stillwater it hasn't happened since 2005. And I don't see it happening this year. I mean, even if we get down multiple quarterbacks, we still have so much returning talent. And you're talking like 30-some-odd seniors, Bub. So this is a veteran team, probably the most veteran team that Gundy's ever had. So the accountability in the locker room thus far sorts itself out, right? 2 years ago, that wasn't the case. There was a lot of friction in the locker room. There was a lot of minor issues that boiled up. And then
that carried into last season until Gundy got off his ass.
It did. We had to have a come to Jesus meeting, and that come to Jesus meeting was South Alabama. So it's one of those few times, right? You do hear about sometimes somebody needed a loss to kind of, re-solidify themselves as a team. Well, that was kind of the epitome of that. Nobody likes to see it, but that loss to South Alabama is really what changed the trajectory of, okay, we have to do something different. The same offense we've been running for the last 8 years ain't going to work. We have to change stuff. And then you see like Charlie Dickey. He's a power guy. That was a power guy at K-State. That's, arguably one of the greatest O-line coaches in K-State history, because their style was simple. And then finally, when we start utilizing him to his strengths, and then we got Ollie Gordon in the backfield, and we implement the fullback and the tight ends, we look like a real offense.
Yeah. I mean, I have my questions about it and kind of seeing where they are, but I mean, and just to bust your chop, just busting your chops, but my thing is really, I mean, these odds, they've got them at what, 6th to 4, 5, 6. Yeah, no, actually 7th best odds according to CBS Sportsline at plus 1,200.
I think FanDuel has us at 8th. I think DraftKings has us right around 7th or 8th, and I absolutely love it, man. I think, and honestly,
we've been saying the same thing, that with Oklahoma getting disrespected the way they have been, I think that people are starting to pay more attention. But I do believe you. I mean, look, it's always better to come from the middle of the pack, and less expectations. Kansas State. Look, I understand Absolutely. The K-State look here, or Utah, and Utah is right there with them. But the thing is Utah has to come in here, and number one, and I was going to ask you about this, they're still jabbering a lot of shit being spoken out of there, right? A lot of it. And then
it's like OU fans and Texas fans had a baby and it pooped out Utah.
But I mean, look, and I'm a fan of their quarterback. I'm a fan of their coach.
Oh, yeah.
I also think that coming into this is a league that's really – I was on Around the Table Sports last week, and there was a large group of us. And we started talking about the Big 12. And they were asking who's going to win it, who's going to – everybody – and almost everybody had a different answer. There were 7 of us, and there was almost a different answer from everybody. Before it got to me, I'm writing down teams that could win. And no lie, I'm not even including. I didn't even really include Colorado because I just don't know. You know, I think they have a quarterback that is probably, if he's not number one, he's number two.
Yeah.
Jalen Daniels has to show us he can stay healthy. But if Jalen Daniels stays healthy, Kansas can absolutely win. Right?
Yeah.
They can absolutely win this conference.
Well, I have OSU and KU in the Big 12 title game. If Jalen Daniels stays healthy, and we don't play each other, right? So it kind of matches up. And when it comes to Utah, right, I do have that first matchup with Utah as a very tricky situation because it's week 4. They're going to be guns blazing, right? This has been the animosity building has been between Oklahoma State and Utah fans. So it's going to have a little extra on the line.
A new rival, man. Got a new rival.
Where I think Utah is going to slip up is at the end of the season because even whenever I had Wild Ute on the show, one of the things that was brought up was depth, right? They have a lot of talent, but they lost 26, 27 something dudes. So, and a decent amount of them were some of their starting rotation in the back end when it comes to DB. So their defensive backfield looks like it's an absolute mess. Linebacker, D-line, they're good to go. But Wild Ute even kind of mentioned in his appearance on my show that we go as far as Cameron Rising goes. So if Cam Rising's healthy, we're like KU and Jalen Daniels. We can win 11, 12 games. But if Cam Rising gets hurt, we could go back to 7 wins. Well, now that they got Sam Heward, Brock Heward's boy, maybe that does kind of stem the tide a little bit there from them falling from 10, 11, 12 wins to 7 wins. But I don't know, man. I don't think, and you expect, even when you guys, right, were the kings of the Big 12 forever and a day, when you get to the end of the season, all of those games against the Iowa States and the K-States and the Oklahoma States, they get to you.
That's what I said. I literally ended up writing down 12 teams that could, to me, really could win. And the only ones that I didn't put in that could win it were the guys could BYU do it? Probably not this year. I don't think that they're the worst team in the league like this says at all. But I think they might be though.
They were the least active. They were the least active in the portal.
Well, that's part of that. Baylor. Part of that has to do with the fact that they, with their honor code and all that kind of stuff that they got going on over there, is you don't just go and get anybody out of the portal for those guys. You just don't.
Well, there was really 4 teams in the Big 12 that weren't active in the portal, right? Oklahoma State, KU, BYU, and Baylor. Why are BYU and Baylor not active in the portal? They're acting like they're returning their rosters and they're super happy with their 4 or 5 win team. I don't get. And maybe they know something we don't.
Too. Although, but to me, I would tell you this. BYU one thing about BYU though is those guys that come off of their mission are a little older and ready to go, and a little more. They got big real man strength at that point. Now, what I would also say is that I do believe that Kalani Sitake is one of the better coaches in this league. We both.
I agree.
But I do think that they're the ones that I would say, yes, I don't think that BYU can win. I know Baylor's not going to. Cincy, Arizona State. Houston maybe now at this point, but I don't think it's going to be long till they're in the – but if you look at that's basically 4 or 5, 11 teams that could really do this though. I think
11 might be a little rich, but you could easily conceivably go 9. I would say, yeah.
Okay, so Tech may have been a year behind. I like their quarterback a lot better than I like the one that they had last year.
Yeah, Baron Morton's the truth.
Baron Morton is he's good. And Arizona, we know, I think there may be more to them losing their coach than meets the eye, right? I know that everybody loves this guy that came in from San Jose State. I like Noah Fafita. I like McMillan. I think they're very good.
Yeah,
they're going to have certified. Something to say. I think they have something to say about it. Again,
replacing your entire staff though. Yes, they do return like 85% of the roster, but when you replace your entire staff, like I feel
It's
like
tough.
it's going to
Yeah,
take
yeah.
a little bit for them to kind of synchronize.
I would agree. I'm not necessarily picking them to win it. I
they have
still,
the talent.
again, I think they do.
Have the talent
and they do. I think UCF is a problem.
No, dude. John Rice Plumlee is better than KJ Jefferson.
Oh, I don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. Not for what they do there. Not for what, and they beat the shit out of you guys. So,
oh yeah, they did in the bounce house.
So it is what it is. But again, they're recruiting in Florida as well. They were very busy in the portal, were they not?
Yes, they were. Yeah, no, they did good. They did good in the
I
portal.
think they're going to be pretty good. I don't think West Virginia really
KJ
wins
Jefferson as that guy, unless they kind of take the Colin Klein approach offensively. Then it could be a problem. But if they try to run him in a traditional quarterback setting, I don't see it going super well for them.
Alan Tran, you see Kansas State going 12-0. Are you insane?
Well, he also just said Baylor can win 8 games.
He is insane.
There's that.
Just kidding.
Hey, you know what?
Really 12-0 for anybody. I think that this is a league that a couple of 9-3 teams very well could be in the championship game.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I think at best you get a 10-2. This is a league that is going to feast on each other. You're gonna run into buzzsaws week after week. I think that a lot of people are saying it's going to be a terribly fun league to watch. It is, because I think competitive. On the show that we did on Ty's show, he was asking what was the most competitive league. There was difference in what everybody's definition of competitive was. But as far as top to bottom, anybody can beat anybody. I don't think that there's a doubt that there's
I'd be curious to hear what the arguments were.
Parity league.
Yeah, I'd be very, very curious to hear what the arguments for the other conferences were.
No, well, it was just the question, obviously coming from a bunch of SEC guys, was, now first off, I still think that overall, depth-wise, I think this is a better league than the Big Ten is, because right now there's 2, 3,
from top to bottom,
maybe 4 pretty good teams. Top to bottom, it's a better league.
Our problem is we don't have any of the heavy hitters like your Michigans, Ohio States, Bamas, Georgias.
Correct.
We don't have that.
Correct. Yeah. And I don't know that that's a good thing for you, but that's for another topic.
I mean, it's not, but at the same time, I feel like if there's a sales pitch in the parity, I think the numbers are going to be reflective, right? Brett Yormark doesn't have to come out at any point in time and say, hey, we're better than the Big Ten or the SEC. But what he can say is we might be more exciting to watch. There's not going to be any 50-3 games in the Big 12.
I think it's going to be in question every week. I love the way that they're playing a lot of Thursdays and Fridays, because they're going to be able to get on television more and get some of those games seen, because ESPN is going to be full of SEC games on Saturdays. It's just going to be how it is. I think it's very, very, very smart on the part of the Big 12 to play the Friday night games. I think it's ridiculously smart. Again, another one of these things that, much as I was pissed off at Brett Yormark at the way he did shit at the end of the year last year, I think he's very, very good at what he's doing, and he knows what's going on. I think that 100%. I don't know what the hell's about to happen with the rest of the country, and as far as this, everything that's about to happen with, are we going to a Big 2? Is the NCAA going to be a part of it again? For another show, probably, but. Real quick, Neilio, thank you for the super chat, sir. Good morning, Jason. Hope everybody had a great holiday weekend. Same to you. We appreciate you coming in, and thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that 12-0. I would be super surprised if anybody even went 11-1. I think
it'll be. Well, I don't know, man. I think if KU stays healthy, they will have the opportunity to maybe go 11-1. I think we're good enough to go 11-1, but in the Big 12, you're gonna get beat up so much. I don't see how there's any way. I agree. I think it'll end up being 2 10-2 teams, or maybe a 10-2 and 11-1 squad. It could very well be 2 9-3 squads, but
yeah,
it's going to be
yeah.
it's
I
going
can
to
see
be
that happening. Which if that happens, then that hurts you because you're not going to get a second team in probably, because then you end up with the loser goes 9-4, you know, and so that's going to be hurtful. You know what I mean? I have a hard time unless they were to say, okay, we'll take another 9-3, because there could be more than just those two, you know, and tiebreakers get them in, or I don't know. But to me, I think that it's tough, but I do think that this is the time right now, if you're going to call it an ACC or a Big 12 team, to go deep in the playoffs and have a chance to win, it probably needs to be before the money separation gets very big. And that's my feeling on it. But I think that nobody's going to be as battle tested as a team that comes out of this league, because of the fact that you just have to, you know, unless you have a schedule like Oklahoma's or Florida, you know, but week in and week out, you are going to go up against a team that can, if you're not playing your game, if you're not on point, you can lose.
Yeah, physically, we will be, whoever comes out of the Big 12 will be prepared for the playoff, right? The only downfall to, having to show up every daggone week is injuries. And somebody mentioned Ollie having a big year. I think Ollie will have a big year just because, he is who he is, but he's not going to have as big a year last year, I don't think, because there's a plan in place to ensure that he makes it to the draft. So there's a concerted effort right now to make sure he only gets 15, 17-ish carries a game, as opposed to 25 to 35 carries a game. So he's going to have to be more selective in what he does this season. I think it'll still be massive. I think he'll still average 6.9, 7.2 yards a game. But I don't think he'll be ripping off 280, 250 yards this year, because we're not going to have him in that long.
They're going to try to split up carries more. Well, and I think, Alan, I understand that you've got K-State and Oklahoma State both going to the playoff. Okay. Well, I definitely understand the K-State thoughts that, with them with them bringing in another running back. And this is what I would also tell you though about Kansas, is that they have a two-headed monster at running back as well. And Jalen Daniels. If Jalen Daniels stays healthy.
Yep.
And that's a if. There's definitely a big if there, because he hasn't done it yet.
Correct. Well, it is one of those things, man. It's kind of like Spencer Sanders. Yeah, you want him to stay more healthy, so you don't want him to run as much. But when he stands in the pocket, he's not quite the same quarterback. So you got to kind of let him do his thing, because that's kind of what makes him him. To me, he's like a miniature version of RG3.
I agree. I would just say that he needs to know when to get rid of the ball and not get himself killed. Right?
Yeah.
What
he needs to do is try to break Alan Bowman's passes into the stands record.
Well, and I think that the Dylan Edwards ad was a huge pickup for K-State.
I saw somebody out here said that people were high on Colorado. I'm not. I mean, I am in Colorado, and sometimes maybe it does feel like I am high, but I'm not super high on the Buffalo, simply because I think Deion's. I think he's a good dude, and I do think he's a pretty good coach. He's a great motivator, good teacher, but I don't agree with his
going
philosophy.
At it the wrong way. I think he's going at it the wrong way.
I think him completely alienating high school kids will have more negative ramifications in the long run.
We talked about this the last few times I've been on, is that this is a look. I think you and I have talked about this before too. The transfer portal, it's like free agency in the NFL. Everybody's comparing it to that anyway, and it really is. The best teams in the NFL are the teams that build in the draft and sprinkle in free agents.
It's supposed to plug gaps, not be your entire foundation year after year after year.
Right. We had Jake Crane on the show last week, and what did he say? He said, look, you cannot build the ship with transfer players. You use transfer players to plug holes in it. It makes and it's absolutely correct. It's what you have to do. And look, that's what happens in the league. It's what the best teams in college football, even since the portal got more open, have been the teams that have played less in the portal and really stuck to, look, we're not gonna get into bidding wars. We're gonna build through, through our high school kids, because you have to. Now, do I understand, being a little more aggressive? Yes, I get it. If you look at Florida State, it got them to 13-0 last year. I don't think it was going to matter in the playoff, but whatever. That's another story for another day. But in the end, do I think that that doing that this year is going to help Florida State? I don't. I think that they're probably going to struggle. I think that now Ohio State, they were very busy in the portal.
Yeah.
But they were already really good.
Correct.
Do I think that their quarterback's good enough for them to win? I don't. I think everything else is. And I mean, the fact that they got some of those guys from Alabama probably didn't hurt them. But I don't know that they got the guy at the trigger man yet.
I think Michigan is going to be down, not just because of Harbaugh, just because of how many seniors they had, and they're kind of having to plug some holes there. I don't like Oregon. I actually kind of hate Oregon, but I do think they might have one of the better shots at winning the Big Ten this year.
Yeah. Well,
Ohio State's going to. I think Ohio State's going to be good, but
I think Ohio State's going to be great. I really do. But I also think that they better beat Michigan. They don't have I mean, if they don't beat Michigan and don't win the Natty, Ryan Day's out on his ass.
I think he's very overrated. I've thought that for quite some time.
Born on third base, bro. Born on third base. Ain't got shit done yet. And you cannot lose to your rival 4 years in a row. Particularly when they'd won 9 in a row from the Urban era into his, and then all of a sudden now he's there and is overseeing them losing 3 in a row. If you lose to Michigan this year, with all those guys gone, Sharon, I love Sharon Moore. I mean, he's an OU guy, so we're going to give him love, and he has done a good job at the helm, but they don't have the same team that they had a year ago either. But if you lose to them and you don't win the national championship, they will fire his ass. You know they will. This is how, I mean, first off, the new athletic director has no allegiance to Ryan Day. He didn't hire him. He's opened up the wallet. Okay, go get who you got to get. You better go win. You better, at the very least, take a deep run and beat Michigan. If you don't do that, it's your ass. I just believe that. That being said, I do think, yes, there's some things that could keep Kansas from doing it. But look, again, they have one of the better coaches in the country, and they do, just like Kansas State does. I believe in both of those coaches. Utah as well. I think that I like Utah if Cam Rising stays healthy, I like Utah's chances. I'm not positive that I believe they're going to win it this year. I'm not. And look, and I don't know how much I believe in Texas Tech either. The way that they fell off the map, I like their quarterback better. I think that they have a team that should be able to compete. But we still have to see Joey get it done, because we haven't.
Well, I'd say when it comes to quality depth that you have, the two top teams are going to be Oklahoma State and Kansas State. And then when it comes to depth, Iowa State's they're gonna cause some problems. I think when you think of upside, right, if they stay healthy, then KU, Arizona, and Utah are right up there. And I think that's the difference. You have a few teams that have established the fact that they didn't lose necessarily anybody in the transfer portal, and they're all three coming off of pretty successful seasons. I know Iowa State, right, obviously didn't live up to their expectations, but nonetheless, you have three teams with a lot of returning starters and returning depth, and then you have three teams that have a lot of talent, but we don't know what the depth looks like. And then
Don't-
yeah, Texas Tech could make things interesting.
Speak on
Guys,
FSU.
West Virginia is kind of being slept on after going 9-4.
Cougar Intruder, I will speak on whoever the hell I want to on my own show. If you don't like it, run along, because FSU ain't doing shit this year. There you go. Telling me not to talk on FSU. Get the fuck out of here.
OSU should have gone in the portal for QB. No.
Well, okay, so there's my thing. The reason that I'm not as high on Oklahoma State, you know why. It's part of it. Part of it, you know why. The other part is Alan Bowman. I know you're trying to tell me you like his
I'm
idea.
not a big fan. I'm not a Bowman guy. I still don't think Bowman is the best quarterback on the roster. Now, I do think that he found a way to
listen, I think that you need to play Rangel. He needs to be the guy.
I agree.
Or Zane Flores, then, even if not him.
Well, Zane's going to have a lot of packaging, right? Zane's kind of he's a bigger, stronger Zach Robinson is basically kind of what Zane is forming into. So Zane's going to have some packaging, but you're right. I mean, Garrett Rangel came in at 182 pounds, and now he weighs 208 pounds. He came in running a 4.840. Now he's running a 4.640. Like Garrett Rangel, or 4.7, sorry. He's done some significant things in his time at Oklahoma State. Now he's just kind of waiting on his turn. But again, as much as I'm in the Rangel camp, Alan Bowman did find a way to keep his happy ass in the pocket this spring. So, and when he does that, when he buys himself a little bit more time, because for some reason, what he did last year was the same thing he did at Texas Tech, which is the same thing Spencer Sanders did, which is 1 read, 2 read, I'm getting the flip out of here, right? That's not going to work. And I think this season, there's an emphasis on the fact, like, dude, you've got 7 returning starting offensive linemen. Keep your happy ass here, right? You don't run a 4-0. Why do you keep bailing? And I didn't think it was going to work. I didn't think year 7 he was going to magically be like, all right, I need to stay here in the pocket. But thus far, he's done that, which is why he's kept Rangel kind of, I don't want to say quite at arm's length. I think Rangel's very, very close to Bowman, but I think the coaches know that as well, right? We have a quarterback 1A, 1B situation, which is precisely why we didn't even look in the transfer portal. Because Gundy feels very, very confident about all 3, right? And then we could always just tell Gunner, right, to go throw on a jersey because he's still around campus. And honestly, dude, I will say this, right? You don't ever want to get too hyped up about a freshman. But when it comes to just ball off of hand, Mayalake Smith is special. And he walked in at 6'4", 207 pounds, right? That kind of helped him too. So, yeah, we're very, very happy with where we are at quarterback. We don't have a need to go after any, so we're not really going after any. And then we got our guy for next year in Adam Schobel. So, yeah, dude, that's actually one position. This is the only time in Oklahoma State history we've had 4 4-star receivers. It's never happened before. So, really? Yeah, we're pretty comfortable.
Huh.
And behind Ollie, I will say,
mama that's talking all that shit in there. Is somebody gonna talk about his mom or something? I was just giving my audience a hard time. I'm just giving them a hard time. This Cougar guy, whatever. OU's trash.
No, Ollie is a junior, but he's a draft eligible junior. He gone, right? Unless something catastrophically happens.
Oh, he's gone. Yeah. Yeah,
he's right. I think he's projected as like the number 21 to 26 pick right now or something like that.
Yeah, because even if he just has an 1,200 yard season this year, which is
exactly,
he's still second round at worst.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's because running backs generally don't go in the first round anymore very often.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no red shirt, bud.
Oh, Ollie's good, man. He's got game. He's got game.
Ollie didn't red shirt.
Fairly surprised that he stayed, to be honest with you, just because of the fact that the people were offering him a ton of money. You know, Alabama was in that ship. I mean, there were people that were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mizzou threw him not quite double what we're giving him, but I mean, they tried. Mizzou threw him big boy money.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, rhyming. I was just noticing that he was getting away with an awful lot from all you guys.
I mean, I'm old school. I paid in quarters.
I paid in quarters.
Now, if they could catch him, then that's when the big dollars come out. You know what I mean? When you break the bills out, catch the quarters, get a bill, baby.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, does Oklahoma State dominate the Big 12 or does UCF and Houston step up?
I don't think anybody's going to dominate the Big 12.
I was going to say I have a very hard time believing that anybody dominates this league.
I do think that when it comes to how we've developed our roster over the years, I don't see any scenario where Oklahoma State's not in the top 4 every single year. Now, I do think there's going to be teams that pop up like UCF that are going to be problematic. I think if this craziness that Deion's got going, if he can get it lined out to where he has a more established recruiting philosophy, they're going to be able to be a problem. Joey McGuire clearly is not going to slow down in the recruiting department anytime soon, so they could be a problem. Arizona, they replaced their entire staff, but it's all about winning. Winning draws eyeballs, eyeballs draws dollars, dollars draws NIL money. You get the drift. So if you're constantly competing in the Big 12, I think you're going to be in good.
Well,
good
so that's a good question right there, though. Now that you bring up NIL, okay. What are your feelings, though, now that you're going to have this rev share? Where you're talking, you get $20 million a school to spread out amongst these guys. I know this is going to take a hit on some schools. I think the Big 12, you're going to have some schools that are going to struggle with that, right? Because if you look at, we were talking about K-State as an example, right? And I'm not bad-mouthing K-State whatsoever. I'm just saying we looked at, while you had his numbers up on Friday of what they made, what their output, they made $100 million. Their output, though, to pay was 95, is what their bills were basically. And now all of a sudden now it's 20 million has got to go to the players. What's going to where you get that other 20 from? Or do you have to start getting rid of coaches and doing some of this other stuff? Not that I care about any of this. Because I still think you need to pay these players. Does this put you on in a better situation to where? What do you think what do you think revenue share does for Oklahoma State for first off, but for these Big 12 programs?
Well, we're luckily in a good position where our donors have started to step up, and that's why you've been able to see Chad Weiberg make so many moves in basketball and wrestling, and I know there's some kind of trepidation right now going on with golf. People want to give Oklahoma State a hard time for winning so many golf national titles, but that's the expectation of Oklahoma State. If you play golf, is to win national titles, and right now we're not doing that, right? So I do think that the Big 12 in and of itself is going to be stuck in a position financially where we are what we are until somebody's got to break that glass barrier. Somebody in the Big 12 has to win a national title. When that happens, that's when everything will change. But, we've been saying that for 14 years. And to be honest with you, there's a decent amount of times that it did look like OU was going to be that team that had a chance to kind of do that for the Big 12, even after some of the Bob Stoops stuff. And that's been the stigma of the Big 12 with or without OU in Texas is that, they're good, but they're not good enough to ever win the one. And then TCU getting absolutely throttled did not help.
No, it didn't. And they did what they did against Michigan, but Michigan, we know what they did up until this last year. So, when you start looking at it, I get it. But here's the thing, when it comes to, look, the bottom line is I said this a lot. The reason that Oklahoma wasn't winning national championships, particularly once the BCS era was over with, the defense was so far from right on the money at that point. And I know Alan was asking earlier about Oklahoma's defense. The Oklahoma defense is the real deal. There is no two. It's not anything close to what it's been in the past whatsoever. Now, thank God for that, because otherwise it would not be a successful move. that's one thing I've said to a lot of people that, as much as we hate Lincoln Riley because of him being slimy and the way that he left, the best thing that could have happened to Oklahoma was for him to leave. Because there's no way they were going to get to that point. No way. They haven't really lost anything offensively. They haven't. Seth Luttrell has been a very good offensive coordinator in the past. He's done a good job at North Texas to be the head coach, for a time. Yep. He's been successful ever. In fact, he's been a more successful offensive coordinator than Jeff Lebby. He's got a better track record than Lebby does. Right? Lebby comes from the Art Briles system, so they are immediately look. I understand what they did. I also think that part of the reason that Jeff Lebby got that job is because of his work in NIL and the fact that you had, an Oklahoma guy is the athletic director at Mississippi State as well. Again, you still got another 5-star quarterback. You're bringing in running backs like mad. You are deep, deep, deep at the skill positions all around. Aside from tight end, they still got to shore it up there. But they have studs there. They're just not as deep as they'd love to be. In the end, they would have still had that stuff with Lincoln. Defensively, we know what they would have done. We know what they would have done. So to me, that's a good thing. When it comes to the rest of it, guys, I believe that, again, I would tell you that I think Oklahoma has a better chance in year 2 and moving forward in the SEC, but I wouldn't completely count them out this year. And just like that, look, should the Big 12, when you look at the Big 12, I think that it is completely wide open. I don't believe that Colorado has I just don't think that you have enough depth there to get through a whole season. Somebody said they've got 500 on, who is that? Jordan Summers says, I got 500 on Colorado versus Oklahoma State taking all bets. Isn't that the last game of the year?
It is. I'll take that bet, even though whenever I did my ranking of the easiest game, most difficult game, and the trap game, I did pick this as my trap game. I don't think Colorado's anywhere. Colorado's not even on the same hemisphere as Oklahoma State, right? And they're not going to be. But it's a Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, last game of the year. You know what I mean? It could get kind of weird.
If they can,
but I'll take that bet. Tell Jordan, I will take that bet.
If they can keep Shedeur upright, they're better than people are going to give them credit for. But
offensively, maybe. But they had to plug a lot of O linemen.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So that's the problem last year is
I'm not picking. Look, I think that quarterback wise and what they have at the skill positions, even losing Dylan Edwards, I think that they have the ability to go out there and win some games. I don't see them finishing in the bottom 4 or anything like that. I think they've probably finished somewhere in the top half and possibly in the top 5. I don't see them winning it. I have a hard time believing that they can. Now, again, I still think that there's a lot of teams that are going to put in. I don't know that TCU's ready to be back yet at this point. I don't know that I trust West Virginia either, but I don't hate West Virginia and I don't hate Sonny. I don't hate UCF.
No,
Iowa State. Look, man, I'll tell you what, one of the quarterbacks that people aren't talking about enough is the Iowa State quarterback.
I like Rocco Beck. I do, but I think
like Rocco, man. The guy can get it. He can fling it.
Yeah, but he's got 2 of the top 5 best receivers in the Big 12, though, too.
And they're also going to have one of the best defenses in the Big 12, like they do every year. This is what they do. Look, that's one of my. I think that's my dark horse that I would probably pick before I would pick Tech, and probably
I would agree.
Probably before Arizona too. I think that Iowa State. Hey, look, you said yourself you're going to have to figure it out with the brand new coach. Even if you brought all those guys back, it's still a new deal.
I think the biggest discrepancy between the new booties and the now somewhat original, right, Big 12 or the new Big 12, whatever the flip it is going to be the timing, right? What is the timing of the games? The heavy hitter Pac-12 squads, like a Utah, like Arizona, those teams that get all of us early, I think they're going to have a really good shot. By the end of the season, I think that's where there's going to be issues. And that's why I think the Colorado game for us is kind of a trap game, but I also think that they're 4 or 5 injuries away from having another 5-win season. So by the time you get to the end of the season, there's no way, in my opinion, Colorado has enough quality depth to be able to hold up at the end of the year.
I think that's going to be their issue, is the quality of the depth, because of the fact that they are playing so heavily in the portal. And I listen, again, I'm with you on that. I believe that I don't know that I think they're going to win some games that people don't expect them to win. I don't know that it'll be that one. And I don't see them having a meteoric rise of winning the conference. I don't. But I agree with what Neilio said. Look, he said he's assembled a talented group of wideouts, no doubt. And look, it's a new offensive line, but so a lot of people have a new offensive line, guys. A lot of people do. And then who said that? Weston's talking about that they have 2 defensive tackle transfers ranked higher than Dominic Williams. Okay. All right. We'll see. Look, bottom line is it can't be worse than it was last year at every position. But the thing is
right.
that it's all new coaches again. I mean, I think they're going to be better on the offensive line because they got a good offensive line coach. They brought a good, they brought him from Oklahoma. He's been working with Bill Bedenbaugh. They got a good coach. So the chances are they're going to do okay there, at least to keep him upright. I think that Coach Prime needs to let Shador run a little bit and not.
Again, whoever catches Colorado early in the first 5-6 weeks of the season is going to have a hellacious day.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I don't like the idea. If I'm Colorado, I'm over that freaking playing Travis Hunter every damn down on both sides of the ball. I think it's a terrible idea. I think it got him hurt way too much last year, and you need him.
I mean, it's sad because he's one of the few people we've ever seen that is good enough to do it, right?
Sure.
He is.
Oh, he's a stud.
But yeah, if you don't have Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders at the end of the season, then what's it matter?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the biggest difficulty for Colorado is
I just think they're probably a year or so away. I think it sucks for Shador because he's that guy. But the truth is they probably had a better chance last year if they'd have kept around the offensive line that they let get away. They had guys that got out of there that started other places in other Power 5 programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they were 1-11, but again, I think that I just don't agree with his approach to it. I'm a Coach Prime fan. I don't have a problem with Coach Prime, and I don't have a problem with with the fact that he's trying to do what he can do.
Mm-hmm. And I think he's good for the Big 12, right? He is.
Well, we know he's good for Colorado. He made a shit ton of money. He more than paid his contract in year 1.
And I don't agree with his philosophy.
Better. I don't agree with his philosophies either. But I also would tell you that I'm not going to give up on a guy after 1 season either and say that he'll never get it done.
No way.
There's signs pointing to him maybe not hanging around? Sure there is. Do I really believe that? I don't know. I don't think that he wants to be a coach in the NFL. I think that if he wants to continue being a college coach, he cannot leave this job because he hasn't won anything yet. And if he leaves it like this, he'll never coach again. That'll be it.
Like I said in the beginning, I think Dion will be here in Colorado for at least 3 to 5 years. Now, if he figures it out in that time frame, then yeah, he'll be one of the hottest names in the next 3 to 5 years for sure. But it's going to take him time to figure it all out, get it all together, get the right depth, get the right recruiting mantra, philosophy, right? Understand the scheduling and the strengths and weaknesses of the entirety of the Big 12. And once he does all that, then I do think that he most likely would look elsewhere. But he doesn't strike me as a dude that is not going to be somewhat reciprocal of Colorado giving him an opportunity, because people tend to forget that he really thought he had the TCU job.
For George for doing that. I don't agree with you, Neilio. This is one of the few times that I don't agree. I don't agree here. I think that I understand.
I've seen that before, that people think that he's going to go with him to the NFL. I don't agree.
It's a ton of stuff. I don't see that happening. I think that he may not be a coach anymore. But look, you signed up for a contract and making more money than you were going to ever make otherwise doing it like this. I think that the fact is, if you can figure out the recruiting side of it, and maybe that's part of it, if he doesn't really want to go and recruit high school kids, it may not work. But I know that they gave him a shot there when a lot of people talked about giving him a shot. They did. It wasn't lost on him that he was the third straight African-American coach to be the head coach there. That wasn't lost on him, nor the fact that they gave him that opportunity. I think that, to me, he definitely owes it to Rick George to stay and try to see this thing through. I believe that. But, and I don't think he's as terrible a person as everybody else seems to think that he is either, but I just feel like 1 year it's not easy. You can't just judge him on one season.
I agree. Yeah, hey, King Co. That's why you need to go make sure you have the capability to hammer the over on the Cowboys, even if you don't have them winning the whole thing. Like I said, I mean, go bet $5 on Oklahoma State winning over 8 games, and you'll make some money.
Hold on. Mike is great?
Well, listen, he's a different Mike Gundy right now. I think he's still
I couldn't help myself.
I think he's 2 Big 12 titles away from being classified as great, but I think he's got the capability to do it.
Look, man, he's got to win. He's got to win some freaking hardware,
bro. If we don't win the Big 12 title this year with 21 returning starters and 91% of the roster, I don't know when we're gonna.
Yeah, look, I don't know that. Look, I'm not convinced, and you know how I feel about this, but I'm not convinced that Oklahoma State is a lot better in this Big 12 than they were in the last one. I think they're going to compete. I think they're going to, with what he does. I just don't know that you're going to see. I
will say this, dude. Mike Gundy,
I don't see a bunch of playoff runs in here either, because I don't know how many teams are coming out of the Big 12. Number one. And if he's going to have to do better than 4th, and I think that's about where he's going to be most of the time.
First of all, I want to say that I'm disappointed that you're going to make me do this, and you're going to make me jump on the damn Gundy fucking train. But he sold his house, right? Because he sold his house. He sold some of his land, farms. He has bought into this season. He's working more than he ever has. He's doing more than he ever has. And this is coming out of his mouth, right? He loved the CEO thing that he was doing. It just didn't work out. He's actually involved in NIL now. He's involved more in recruiting. He's involved in the camps. He's actually in his office every single day, has been for almost a year now, not quite a year, but ever since South Alabama, he started doing film and researching and putting it on display and running all of the specialties.
He was great all the whole year. Yes, they won. Look, and don't get me started.
I didn't say he was great,
but look what happened in the UCF game. You can't beat Oklahoma and then go get drugged like that because you don't have rain gear. The fuck,
bro? You don't think I know that? Like what kind of nonsensical statement is that?
And then I mean, look, man, come on, man. You can't get beat by Texas like that in the championship game and like drug like that. That was bad. Bad.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, this is where they are.
Listen, hey, listen. We
Now,
weren't as good
are
as
they
Texas.
recruiting
but
better?
We were
Are they
better than
recruiting
you.
better? Where are they at?
It's okay.
Huh?
It's okay.
What
I
did you
said we
say?
weren't better than Texas. We were better than you, and that's
No,
okay.
you weren't. No, you weren't. But you won the game. I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
something
You
like
weren't
that.
better. You weren't better, bro.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Don't get me started on that damn thing. Don't get me started on that thing.
Well, you might as well. I'd like to hear your sales pitch as to how you were magically better than Oklahoma State, yet the result didn't exactly go the way you want it.
You know who won that game for you guys? Brett Yormark.
Well, I do know that Ollie Gordon rushed for like 132 yards.
Oh, come on.
Go,
It came down.
look
It came
up,
down to the top,
I
brother.
do know that
Came
you.
down to the
Hey,
top.
y'all let a
Weren't
230
you on
pound,
that side of the
55-year-old
field?
quarterback
Weren't you
juke
on
you
that-
out of your socks.
Stop. Weren't you on that side of the field where Drake got tackled in the freaking end zone?
No, I was. Oh, you mean when he stepped out of bounds?
He did not
Are you
step
talking about
out
that
of
one?
bounds. He got tackled
Yeah.
out of bounds.
Well, he was already out of bounds. So that kind of makes it a little
Wrong.
difficult.
Oh, do not go the Greg's horn. Do not.
Hey, don't they have
No.
they have like several thousand clips of this on the
Yeah,
good
it's-
old intranet?
Sure. Yeah, they do. They do.
Okay.
And he didn't go out of bounds until he got tackled out of bounds. You don't want to. You really want me to look that one up? Bedlam Stoops.
So I do find it funny that OU fans are still clinging to this. You lost because of the refs and Drake Stoops. And
Look, it is what it is. There was as much of a problem.
you
but
lost.
look,
We lost because Brett Yormark was there. And get the fuck out.
listen, man. Here's the thing.
Y'all sound like a bunch of boomer gooners.
Here's the thing.
Calm down.
Here's
Calm
the
down.
thing. I'm gonna
Hey,
give you this
you
part.
hey,
They
you owned
should've-
it for
they
like,
should've taken advantage.
7 decades.
They should have taken advantage long before all that. They had opportunity.
You lost 2 of the last 3. But that one was a fluke too, huh? Let's go back. I bet 2021 was a fluke too, huh? Tell me how that one wasn't right.
I'm pretty sure that Lincoln threw that game, but okay. I mean, you know, it is what
Got
it
it.
is.
Got it. Are
They
y'all
play-
going to do this in the
That's the
SEC?
best I've seen Oklahoma State play. That game right there was the best I've actually seen Oklahoma State play
Our defense was stupid.
in a long time. Yes, they were
I
very
agree.
good.
That's the best defense I've ever seen from Oklahoma State, by far.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Like when I first started going to games in like the mid 90s, like we had some NFL guys like Kevin Williams, and then we had Kenyatta Wright, and we had some dudes, R.W. McQuarters. But I didn't
I'm not
know.
saying that. Look, I remember the other game that was probably one of the teams that I think was they weren't playing enough defense, but that last year for Baker, that freaking Bedlam was insane.
2011 was a fluke.
2016. 2011 was a fluke. I don't know that 2011 was a fluke, but they won the wow. Oklahoma wasn't
Wasn't it
good
like
that year.
42-10?
It wasn't good. But
I'll be real with you. I really wish.
They lost more games
I
than they
wish-
needed to because they could have went.
I wish we had y'all in one more year. I wish y'all were in this season because I do think it would make the Big 12 even more insane. But it is what it is. We're excited about the new booties, right? I cannot wait to go to Provo, right? That's been on my bucket list for quite some time.
No doubt.
We
Fun
don't
place
play
to watch.
KU, but I am going to go to Lawrence, right? Because the 7-on-7 high school travel stuff that I do, one of the photography dudes that runs all that, he's also with KU. His son is the starting defensive tackle for KU. So since we don't play him, I'm gonna go check out the Rock Hawk Jayhawks in Arrowhead, evidently. So that's gonna be
That's
gonna be
kind of
fun.
cool, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. They're playing all their games in Arrowhead, right?
Yes.
Or not all
Yeah,
of them.
and that's another reason.
Some of them at Arrowhead.
That's another reason I will take that $500 bet is because they play KU in Arrowhead off of a short week. Colorado does. Now, if they lose and they're beat up, they stand no chance against us. Now, here's why it's a trap game.
You heard him. Go find him on. You got to go find him on Twitter at Aldeo State.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Summers. He's the one that said that. He's the one that said that. I'm not betting $500 on freaking Colorado to beat anybody. Nope. Yep. Well, I would.
I like it.
I would bet that they probably beat some of the teams, but not any of the better teams.
I'll put it to you this way: I'm betting. I'm already betting pretty much an entire paycheck on us winning the Big 12 and us making the playoff. So if people want to sprinkle more money at me, it's money making season, baby. Bring it on. Because I don't think that Oklahoma State will ever be picked to only win 7.5 again. I don't.
Well, I could see them hitting the over. I think they probably hit the over.
Can KU sell out Arrowhead? For a couple games, I think they could. I do. I like KU, Colorado. Yeah, I think
they don't sell out. They don't sell out their freaking college station or their college.
David Booth
stadium. They don't.
Bro, they sold out every game last year. That's why they're tearing it down. Yeah. Dude, you remember when a game day came to Lawrence when it was 4-0 KU against 4-0 Duke? They had standing room only. Like they had people lined up outside. I couldn't believe it for a KU game. Yeah, dude, their fan base, it's like their basketball fan base has just been waiting on something to be happy about.
Another story. The Fog is another story.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to go some games.
They weren't full for the freaking Oklahoma game last year.
When it was, yeah, you get out of here. You talking about the game? Was that the game where it started raining and lightning and everybody left at halftime? Talking about that game?
Yeah, that game. They weren't the
game that was sold out.
They weren't there to
get out of here.
They were not full to start with.
You're high.
I'm just saying.
That's wild. That's a wild statement.
I'm not even hating on Kansas. I'm saying they're not going to fill up they're not filling up Arrowhead. I just don't see it. Now, Sporting yes, they will. I
think if KU gets themselves in a position where they're a top 10 team, I think they do sell out Arrowhead at least once or twice.
Lincoln Riley's brisket's got you guys ceiling 5-7, floor 4-8. Damn.
Hey, bro, you should probably stop talking. Your call on 2011 being a fluke too kind of shows your hand on your football IQ. They're pimping. They're mini pimping.
He's gonna come at you. He's coming at you here.
Who? Lincoln Riley's brisket?
I was talking to brisket. Yeah. Here you come. That you can't. Yeah.
Man, if you're saying stuff that don't make no damn sense,
I wish the Bedlam wasn't dead, but it's dead until
I agree.
Until Gundy's dead or gone.
It'll be even when Gundy retires, it will still be stuck. But I do think after that 8-year shit is up, that we will renew it. But yeah, for the next 8 years, there's no way. The only way to meet in 8 years is in the playoffs, and I do think that will happen at some point in time over the next decade. I just feel like it's inevitable. And if it does kind of even get close, matchup wise, people are going to want to do it, right? Let's say there's a Bedlam in 5 years. The committee, if they can make that a playoff game, they're going to do it.
Come on, Alan, because it's freaking Okie Light. That's why. What else? Why do you hate TCU?
Right. I was going to say y'all should hate TCU equally.
I mean, come on. Why are they hating on them? Because they're Okie Light.
Dude, where's my homie Hank?
Hankster, he's been here. I don't know where he is right now. I haven't seen much from him actually in a while now. And he didn't even jump on that.
Kim or some of the OGs.
He didn't even jump on that guy from Cougar, the guy that was saying that FSU stuff. Huh. He didn't even jump on that dude that was talking all that FSU trash. Where is he? What's good, Coach Smook? Sorry, Alabama
He
guy.
must be.
Coach
He must be
Smook.
pretending to be productive, I guess. Hank
Hank
left. How rude.
Did he say why he
How
was leaving?
rude.
Why did he leave? What's up there, Coach Smook? Thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Your show was good this morning while I watched it. Appreciate that. Yeah, guys, let me know who you guys put in the comments. Who do you think wins this conference, the Big 12? I want to see who everybody thinks that. It's like I said, Coach Smook was on that show that I was talking about on Around the Table. We all had a different answer. All of us did. You know,
I would, yeah. I'd hang out for a bit to see who people decide. It could be an opportunity to make more money. Iowa State.
I like Iowa State too. I said Kansas if Jalen stays healthy. I also could see Utah, but I like Iowa State's chances, man, because I like Rocco. Yeah, I have no freaking clue either.
I don't know, man. I'm not super inspired by Iowa State. I don't know why.
You're not?
No, man. They don't. I don't
By
know.
your own?
I do like Sama. All right. I like Rocco Becht. I do think they have two of the top 5 wide receivers in the conference. If they can have some development at the tight end position, which is their bread and butter, then maybe they could take another step. You say their defense is going to be good, maybe. I just don't think they have enough.
Not always.
Hold on, I was almost there. I don't think Iowa State has the team speed to compete with Oklahoma State and K-State. Or Arizona, for that matter, when it comes to team speed.
They're skill guys. Yeah, I think that McMillan is another cat.
He's the best. He's the best. He's the best wide receiver in the Big 12, right? And I think Brennan Presley is like number 2. But yeah, Iowa State's wide receiver core they're good. If you put Iowa State's top 2 wide receivers on anybody else in the country that's competing for a playoff spot, they could instantaneously become like a national title.
Who are these receivers you're talking about that are the best receivers in the conference? So I wasn't expecting this to come out of your mouth.
So you'll have to forgive me on names. Maybe you can look it up for me, but I do know. So returning wide receivers this season, when it comes to yards and production, they had the number 3 ranked returning wide receiver, and they had like the number 7 ranked wide receiver. But when you look at the 7th ranked wide receiver on film, he put up like 857 yards in just 11 games. And Rocco Becht, he did a lot of wing and a prayer throws, and he had 2 dudes that would high point the ball better than most everybody else. And I remember it happened specifically against us.
So you're talking Jaden Higgins and Daniel Jackson? Or Jalen
No,
Noel?
not Jackson.
Jalen Noel.
Yeah, Noel and Higgins.
Okay.
I have them ranked as the number 3 and number 5 best wide receivers in the Big 12. And look at you, I think yards production, like they're both like 800 yards, 900, 1,000 yards, and they did it with half of an offensive line, which is why the first half of the season they didn't even know what they were doing at quarterback. Neither did Rocco Becht. But when you look at early in the year, all he had to do was throw the ball up, and those 2 caught the ball like 75% of the time. They didn't have a lot of capabilities in the run after catch game, but they didn't necessarily need to. Now, if they have more development in the offensive line and Rocco Becht gets a little bit more time, and now you can catch those 2 in stride, I think that changes the game.
Sharp comes in with Roll Tide. They're not in the Big 12, brother, but thanks. All right, King Co. Allfax.
Arizona State. Now,
OSU versus Utah for the Big 12 championship. That's what my gut tells me, but it's a complete toss-up. Okay, so you've got OSU and Utah. Okay, all right. Let's see. Yeah, I got to hear who these are. They were good. They were good. I don't know that I think they're the best 2 in the conference, but
I said number 3 and number 5.
But I don't think they're the best receiver room in the conference either necessarily. I think that they're
because wide receiver room would indicate all across the board. I'm saying they have the 2 of the
you
best.
think that's 4 stars coming out of Okie Light, right? Utah, if he plays all season, if your quarterback plays all season. Okay.
I think Utah fans feel the same way. If Cam Rising stays healthy, they expect to play in the Big 12 title.
What about the Colorado Neon Deons? I don't think they're going to win it. Mars Jen's
I
got
think-
Arizona State, huh?
I think he's
that
got to be
just-
trolling. Now, if he's not trolling, I'll bet some money on that. I'll bet you $1,000 that Arizona State don't even sniff the
would
Big 12
too. I
title
would-
game.
Mars, I would have to take that bet. I don't believe it.
I got $1,000 says Arizona State won't even finish in the top 3, bub.
Is you got Jeff Sims at quarterback. I don't care. I don't care who it is.
Who?
It's not Jeff Sims, is it? Is it Jeff Sims? Who is it? Arizona State. I'm not
they
buying.
lost Jaden Rashada,
They did.
and Jaden Rashada was like
okay.
Jaden Rashada, Bo Scatabo, and Badger were that was their team last year. Their team was 3 dudes.
Okay.
12-0.
Sharp. Who do you got?
Schedule.
Who do you got for the Big 12 championship? Who do you got winning it? Thank you.
I agree, Sharp. Make sure y'all do it.
Yeah, I got Utah going. You just said, wait a minute, Alan. Earlier, you told me that K-State was going 12-0. Now you're telling me that if Cam Rising is healthy, that Utah's going 12-0. Which one is it? They may not be playing each other, but you mean to tell me that you think there could be 2 12-0 teams in the freaking in the Big 12? I don't see it. I don't see it. There ain't no way.
I'm gonna pull up Utah's schedule.
Ain't no way. Utah not gonna. I don't think Utah wins it this year.
Southern Utah, that's a
If you're
W.
still in here, give us your pick again. Appreciate you being here.
They beat Baylor. They beat Utah State. They might beat us, right? It's early enough in the season. They probably should beat Arizona. They should beat Arizona State.
Arizona beat the shit out of them last year, though.
TCU comes to Utah, so that could be tricky. They go to Houston, should win that. Holy War, that's kind of like Bedlam, right? You never know.
Never know.
Iowa State, their schedule is actually not that tough. I didn't realize their schedule was this.
Still not gonna go 12-0, bro. There's gonna be
no, because you do have Iowa State, UCF. I know you get TCU at home, but I think TCU is going to be better. Arizona is going to be good. We're going to be good.
I think that your championship teams probably at best are 10-2, and I would not be surprised at 2 9-3 teams. Would not.
I wouldn't either.
Would not. Yeah, they were very average without Cam last year. They were good enough to beat USC in LA, but listen, here's the thing that I would tell you about Utah that I like about them the most. It's not Cam Rising, it's the way that they do things. They are gonna play physical, run the ball, and play good defense. That's what they're gonna do. Cam Rising gives them an opportunity to do very well on the offensive side of the ball as well. But the reason that Utah will beat a lot of teams in the Big 12 will be because they are more physical. Period. They don't have, even with Cam Rising, they're not going out there getting 500 yards. It's just probably not going to happen very often. They're going to go out there and keep you from getting 300, and that's how they're going to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Utah does. This is why Kyle Whittingham is one of the best coaches, because he gets guys that fit that mold. They're going to run the hell out of the ball. They're going to play really good defense. That's what they're going to do. If Cam is there, he can win games for them. But if they're gonna play for the championship, it's going to be because they're who they have been when they won those 2 Pac-12s, and they're just out physical in your ass. That's how they'll win it. It won't be just because of Cam. Now, without Cam, they may not be able to win it. But with Cam, it won't just be because of Cam.
And I agree there with Cracker Mac. I think we will have like 3 or 4 losses after the playoff.
Oh, I'm not calling the playoff for you, brother. Can't do it.
Hey, Big 12 winner. Hey, Big 12 winner's gonna get there, right? There's no question about that.
Big 12, so I don't think you're gonna win the Big 12. So,
and there's a good opportunity that 2 could get there. I mean, I don't put it real high on the scale, but if let's say Oklahoma State's 11-1, right? And let's say we play a 10-2 Utah or a 10-2 Kansas State for the Big 12 title game, and we lose. There's still a good shot that we sneak in.
Not if you were 9-3. Not if you were 9-3 when you got there.
I just said 11-1, bro. That's what I said. If we're 11-1,
bro, get out of here with that.
And we play a 10-2 squad. Oh, you got Tattoo Baker in this, B? It's good. It's good to see Tattoo. Yeah. Put money on it, Coach Smoak. Smook.
That's Coach Smook. Yeah.
Bro. Put some paper in the game.
Drunk, he says.
I know Tattoo ain't betting nothing.
Uh-huh.
Well, stop drinking then, homie.
Let's be real. Let's be real. Y'all ain't going 11-1. Y'all ain't winning the.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But what was I saying is if a team, dude, you could take us out of the fucking equation, smart guy. What I said was if a team is 11-1 and they lose the Big 12 title game to a 10-2 squad, they could still get in. It could be anybody. That's what I'm saying. If an 11-1 squad loses to a 10-2 squad, that team could still get in. And then the Big 12 has 2 representatives.
But again, we just got done talking about how it's going to be 2 10-2s at the best, and it would not be surprising at all if it was 2 9-3s. I think this team.
Yeah, in that scenario, we only get one team in. Well, I don't understand why this is difficult. Is it because we're talking numbers that makes it difficult? Really? I agree. I think it'll be a 10-2 squad. But once again, if there's an 11-1 team that loses in the Big 12 title game, they can still get in.
I'll bet you that Oklahoma State is not in the playoff this year.
Well, what are you going to bet me?
I'll bet you a bill. We'll just go $100.
That's fine. I'll take your bill.
We can go another 100 on Oklahoma making the playoff if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks. You seen it. Yeah. Oh, Kyle's in here talking Colorado's going to beat y'all.
Hey, last time I bet you I did pretty daggone well. So bring it on. 1-0, baby.
Yeah, we definitely should drug test Okie like Cody, but we love him anyway.
You probably should. You probably should. You never know what I slip in this Powerade.
True that. Figures. Yeah, I feel you. Texas and only leaving a lot of false confidence out here now. Oh, whoa. Texas and OU does? Coach Smooth?
Bro, you just said it was too early to be drinking.
I feel
why
good
are you still drinking, Coach? Put the bottle down, homie. Put the bottle down. You'll be all right. You and Hank can team up.
Yeah. They're not doing it. I think that what happens is I think.
Oh, shut up, Tattoo. You're just talking at your ass for shits and giggles. It's okay.
Tattoo Baker.
You can shit and giggle.
Welcome in, Tattoo Baker.
While we're throwing it around, put some money on it, Tattoo. You won't though, because you know that's a ridiculous statement.
5 losses.
Yeah,
that would be the under. That would be the under.
There's no way
Hold on.
Tattoo, we wouldn't lose 5 games with our 3rd string quarterback, Pimpin'. We wouldn't lose 5 games with you at quarterback, Pimpin'.
Bro.
Tattoo Baker can play quarterback for Oklahoma State.
Man, I throw it all over the yard, bro.
Well, we aren't going to run as much this year. That I can say.
Why? That's the only way you can win like that.
What? I said we're not going to be running the ball as much this year. That's
why? That's what I said. Why? That's how they won last year, was running the ball.
You shall see, sir. You shall see. Tattoo, stop talking. Open your fucking purse and pull the money out.
Right. I hope that's what they. Okay.
Tattoo, you just typed too much, bud.
Arkansas could be a loss, could it not? There's one.
No.
I don't know that I'm going to say it is, but I think it could be. Utah.
We'll have a harder time with South Dakota State than we will Arkansas.
I think that Utah's going to out tough you. You're losing that one. Kansas State's going to beat you. There's 3. I don't know if I got anybody else beating you though.
Yeah, find 5 losses. That'll be a fun game.
Tech maybe.
At home?
Probably not. Joey has to like show us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State at BYU could be a loss because it's at BYU. Don't think that it can't happen. I've seen it. I've seen it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that one, right? Just and I'm gonna meet up with the Bomber and Wild on that one.
I'm doubting that it's 5. I think 8 and 4 is a good possibility.
I don't know. See. Dude, Tattoo, you just I've already said I'd put money on it. I'll bet you. Okay. So somebody didn't take my $1,000 bet. So Tattoo, I'll bet you $1,000 that we don't lose 5 games. I'll bet you $1,000 we don't even touch losing 5 games. I'll be at almost every single game this year. I've got tickets to pretty much all of them, so it'll just be a matter of travel for me.
Chicken says it's happy hour.
Tattoos.
This is a really funny freaking comment. Gundy's not 40 anymore. I like that. That a boy, Kyle. My man.
And you know what? The crazy part is like he's putting more work now in than he did at 40. That's what's blowing my mind.
Enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, South Dakota State's that's going to be more difficult than Arkansas. You can write that down.
Hey, man, glad to see. Hey, thank you for becoming a member there.
Actually, Tattoo, I have tickets to whatever. So wherever we go, I'll have tickets for that too. Just like the Big 12 title game this year. You should have showed up. You missed me, or did I miss you? I don't know. Missed you at the Big 12 title game, bud. Poor guy. New member.
Y'all have SDSU this year?
Yeah, they won 29 games in a row, back-to-back FCS
South Dakota State. Yeah, that's a tough game. But it's at
it is. And the only reason I'm confident in it is because we're not under-preparing. Like we're 100%. We're not overlooking them whatsoever. They're gonna get our best for damn sure. So, yeah, pretty excited about it.
We're gonna have to relive all this as you come back right before the season. I'm actually I've got to deal with the. In fact, I need to show you that when we get off of here. But we're gonna get out of here in a second. But the CFB professor and his power rankings. He's actually got all the games picked from post spring. So I'll show you what he's got you at. He definitely has it a lot different than like what Vegas has. His power rankings are pretty good. Have you seen him? He's on I like you, man. He's got pretty good stuff. He's a lot of good analytics. Good stuff. We'll have to take a look at it. But yeah, y'all made Quinn Ewers into a Heisman attendee. He wasn't an attendee. What are you talking about? He didn't go to the Heisman stuff. That's funny though, Tattoo. He's gonna bust Paul's. Hey man, when you come in here, I appreciate you coming in here, Tattoo.
We can call Tattoo Can't Get Right. That's Tattoo's new nickname. Can't Get Right.
Oh my God.
Or don't know ball.
One of the this is one of the Oklahoma creators.
Yeah.
He's
when it comes to Twitter, I think Tattoo is like fucking way up there.
He is.
But you know, he's really good at typing because of his mystique on Twitter.
He's pretty good.
I'll give you that, Tattoo. You can type with the best.
I like him much more than I like Big Game Boomer. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, Big Game just puts stuff out to put stuff out.
He's a clown.
He's a little much. Yeah. Tattoo definitely is up there in the Twitter game for you OU folks.
They're gonna. That's one thing. Neilio's right. They're gonna. You want to talk about a team that's gonna bring. They're gonna come in and play hard-nosed football. Hit you in the mouth stuff.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good one. And that's precisely why this spring has been so invigorating, is just to kind of see the differentiation.
So you guys, yeah, you didn't even like rub it in about G Freaky to me or nothing.
Oh, I didn't realize that was his nickname.
That's what they were calling him, yeah. I like Gavin. He did.
Listen, we like that he's here, and we like that he dropped a fumble and helped us win. Like, we like Gavin as an Oklahoma State country. He's helped us on the field already once, so we can't wait to see him do it in an orange jersey.
Yeah, he kind of gets a little jittery back there. Punt returns. I wouldn't have him return him any punts anymore. Just saying.
Dude, say a fun name to watch out for is, you remember Kyler Pearson from Union High School, went to KU? We've got some packages for him, and for being 5'7", he's impressive, dude. He's impressive. He'll have packages because he disappears, and he's fast. And I'm surprised KU didn't use him more. He's going to be a fun one.
I agree. Jackrabbit fans, alums will flood Stillwater too.
That'll be good. It'll be a good environment for them.
Fun. Be the second straight year you lose to a FCS program.
Shit.
It's tough stuff. But in your opinion, who will be at the top of the new little 12? Yeah, he thinks it's going to be Okie Light.
100%. I think Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Utah are kind of gonna, for the most part, control the Big 12, but there's going to be years where West Virginia is really good, Colorado's really good. I do think Houston in the next few years is going to be an absolute nightmare for people. I think Houston, the way that Houston's doing everything, it's very reminiscent to me of KU, right? He's just like Lance Leipold. He builds things the same way as Lance Leipold, and it's not going to take them long.
More fertile recruiting ground too.
To get it going, yeah. It'll be nice.
Much more fertile recruiting ground.
From a recruiting perspective, we're already seeing benefits of the Pac-12 falling apart, because now we're starting to get some of those guys at the West Coast that we didn't used to really get. I mean, we've done very well in the state of Utah recently, but getting Mayalake Smith out of California, right? After he shattered all of
or is it Mayalake?
Mayalake.
Okay. You like that guy, huh? He's pretty good.
Well, I didn't think he would do much, but the very first practice I got to see, he was the first one that caught my eye, right? Just throwing into the nets as a casual painting over. And the way I couldn't see all of the numbers. And I was asking the dude, I was like, hey, who is that? And he's like, oh, it's the freshman. I was like, that's the freshman throwing like that? Okay. So I couldn't even see who he was, but I could tell his ball was moving at a different rate than some of the other dudes. And he stood out and he, like you said, he walked in at 6'4", 207 pounds. So
he's a big boy. So I got to say this, it surprises me, but they're 27th in recruiting right now. They're in the top 30. I don't think I've seen that ever.
Well, we were 21st like a week and a half ago, but yeah, we keep bouncing between 23 and 26, 27-ish.
I was just looking at 247. at 247. And that's not necessarily the composite ranking either. So
yeah, I think again, I've said it on my show, even before spring started, that this will likely be the greatest class in Oklahoma State history, right? The best class ever was 23rd. In 247, and then the second best class was like 29th in 247. So we've only broke the top 30 in 247's rankings a couple times, right? And we've still got a few more guys that I think we're going to have a really, really good shot at. And if we get 3 or 4 of these next incoming guys, I think that does bump us back into the top 23, 24-ish. And I think that's where we'll end the season, is right around 25. But I also think that there's a decent amount of dudes that are in the wait and see mode, right? They want to see if this is the year that Oklahoma State does in fact get it done, because there is that expectation. If OU's gone and Texas is gone, Oklahoma State needs to be the team that takes that next step. And I think if we do, then recruiting in the top 25 will start to become somewhat normal for us. But if we don't, yeah, I think we go back to the 50s, 60s range. This is a massive year. I think this is the biggest year of Mike Gundy's career.
That's pretty. Hey, I'll give you this. And listen, guy, Tattoo, you can say this too. One thing I know about this guy, there's a reason why. There's a reason why I allow Cody to come on my show. And it's because he's the one Oklahoma State creator that doesn't just deride Mike Gundy.
Tattoo, you're showing your football knowledge again. Can you tell me the last time Mike Gundy was a wide receivers coach?
If they go 5-7, are you going to become an OU fan?
I bet the last time Mike Gundy was a wide receivers coach was before you were born. So
I don't know about all that.
If we go 5-7, become an OU fan. If they go 5-7, I will live stream me cutting my own right leg off. That's what I'll do. Tattoo. 5-7. You're higher than a giraffe's vagina, sir.
All right.
And that's a decent ways up.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming in, Cody, and it's time for me to get out of here too. But
fair play. That's fair play. It's all right. My old lady's been texting me to do a honeydew that I've been putting off, so I should probably go get her done.
Well, hang tight until your download is finished first anyway. But folks, thanks a lot for coming in. We appreciate it. Coming into Rise and Shine College Football. Got a few more things. We'll be coming to you most of the rest of the week as well. We got some good trying to get, good guests onto the show every day. Sorry I missed today. No, I'm just kidding. Love me some Okie like Cody. He's my boy. Again, he's the only reason that I ever have been able to like deal with Cody is because he's the one guy, Okie likewise, that will not just deride the hell out of Mike Gundy, and I appreciate that. In fact, it's not been good for his access to Okie Light. So I got to give him props. I got to give him props for that. But I do think,
hey man, I'm not stupid. I mean, you talked a lot, right? I knew as soon as I put all that stuff out that it was going to hurt. And it's okay, because after Mike Gundy started admitting most of it, made my heart feel happy.
No, you were right. You weren't wrong. I mean, you were saying it for at least a year that I know of for sure, that he was mailing it in, and we all knew he was mailing it in. I don't know.
He wasn't in practice.
I know that I believe that he's going to really have made a huge change. I know he likes to let everybody think he has, but I will say we'll figure it out. And look, I don't see them really losing 5. I think 8-4 is a possibility. I think 9-3 is a possibility for every team in this league that's competing for it. So I think I'm going to go 9-3, 8-4 floor. I'd like to see it worse, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Like I said, I love Tattoo Baker like 13 fat kids having sex on a cupcake, but there ain't no way in the hell we're losing 5 daggone football games. It ain't happening. It tain't happening, Captain.
You said taint. All right. We've evolved into it's enough already. I appreciate everybody coming in. Love you guys.
Freshman to pay attention to.
Okay, wait. Give you one incoming freshman to look for.
I'm going to say Tamarick Johnson. Tamarick Johnson came in as a defensive end. He walked in the building 6'3", 197 pounds. He's already up to like 211 pounds. We took him from defensive end, and because of what he was doing in practice, we already switched him to linebacker. He's already kind of been in a rotation with Colin Oliver as a true freshman. So, yeah, he's going to be somebody that we definitely need to pay attention to. He's the next Colin Oliver clone, and, he's a big get.
Okay. Cool. Cody, tell everybody how to find you, and then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, I'm pretty simplistic. Just Locked On Oklahoma State Show, and then on X, just follow me at Aldeo State. I do the other stuff, but not really. I have a Facebook and the other one, Instagram. I'm just not on them all that often. There you go. Yeah. Catch the show. I like to have a good time. I do break down. I do break down like some of the film and recruiting, and try to have some of the players and stuff on to just give the fan base a little bit more connection to Oklahoma State football.
Good enough.
And I cover everything else too.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming into the show as always, man. Gotta be over here a little more often just so I can do this stuff. See you later, everybody.